Hello. I didn't even clean off the board from last week. I felt like the people who supported me last time, I wanted to leave their names up on the board so I could look at them the whole week in my room. But now I'll clean it. Yeah, last week it was the last class because I have to go to Korea. In fact, I leave just next week. I'll be in Korea next week, which is pretty crazy if I think about it. Actually, it's not. I'm just saying that. I go there all the time. But yeah, I mean, I go to Korea so often now, like it doesn't feel special. It's like, I mean, it's cool, but it kind of feels more like if you're a college student and you go home you go like during vacation, you fly back home, you stay at your parents' house again. It kind of feels like that to me. Like, yeah, you're looking forward to it. You want to get your mom's homemade, you know, homemade potato pancakes, baklava, a few other things she makes. But at the same time, you're like, I've been there a lot. I mean, I grew up there. So yeah, it kind of feels like that to me going to Korea. But still, yeah, I'll be in there from next week. And last week was the last class we're going to have until like the middle of August when I'm back. Since I won't be able to do any classes while I'm over there, this board will snap in half if I put it in my carry-on. But I didn't say I'm not going to do any more live streams. However, this will actually be the last live stream before I go to Korea, because literally I can't do this live stream because like some of the stuff I'm using will be packed up. Right? I think. Will any of the stuff I'm using right now be packed up for the live stream? Yeah, it'll be packed. Anyway, the room will be filled with garbage and my stuff that I'm packing together, mixed up. Garbage and stuff I'm packing to Korea. So I definitely cannot do another live stream next Sunday. But the next live stream will be sometime when I'm in Korea. I'll try to do a live stream at least once every 3 weeks. Maybe, yeah, once every 3 weeks is a good goal while I'm in Korea. So you'll still see me again. You just won't get any more of these classes. But I figured since I hit 800,000 subscribers just a few days ago, which surprised me. I didn't think it would happen for another couple weeks. But since I just hit 800,000 subscribers, I figured let's do another live stream anyway. Normally, this is an off day. Normally, today, I would be actually cleaning my house, getting ready to go to Korea. I do that every year. I do like a full spring cleaning to make sure the house is nice and clean before I leave it to go to Korea. And, but I thought, today would be a good day to do a live stream. So let me just check first to see who's in the chat. See who was here first. Claire was first. Welcome. And I have a few announcements I'll make too. I'll just check the chat first. Let's see. Lola. A long name I cannot read. Nyaru. Yoon. Kai, welcome. Cosma. Lady Napbug. Alexandra Taseva. Lynn, hey. Welcome. Welcome. See who else is here. Chad. Keith. Hello. Cat Memes. It's Kai says PayPal. Oh, PayPal. Hold on. That's always a good thing to read. Oh, Kai. Thank you, Kai. See, I normally don't check my email while I'm doing a live stream, but I do have direct donations available if anyone wants to do that instead. I don't have a preference. I'm just happy that you're here, but I do appreciate those of you who are able to support me. Thank you so much, Kai. I'm going to tell you this right now, but your name is now stuck on my board until I come back from Korea. I mean, unless like my wife or kid unknowingly erases it while I'm gone. I don't think they would though. Your name's just going to be stuck there now for the next like 2.5 months. So I hope you're happy. You got a permanent place in my room. Next to my suitcase. Probably as soon as this live stream's over, I'm going to pull out my suitcase from the garage, start putting everything in this room because I don't have any space to put to pack. So I usually do all my packing right here. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Korea's second home now. That's correct. Barsh. I've been to Korea so many times now. Someone asked me how many times have I been to Korea, and I honestly could not tell them because I haven't counted for one. But if I counted, I think it would be probably minimum 18 times that I've been to Korea, maybe 20. I don't know. I've done the round trip that many times. And if you count how many times have I done the flight, you know, it'd be double that. But yeah, it feels more like a second home in that, like, normally if I were to travel to someplace, like, you know, if I were to take a trip to Japan or whatever, or, you know, go to another state, it would feel like, oh, it's like a vacation, got to get ready, you know, got to do all this stuff. When I go to Korea, it's like I just pack, like I have a packing list of like 1,000 items. It's a ridiculously long packing list that I made together with my wife. We've made it over like, you know, since we first met. We have this long packing list and we go through every little thing, even the stuff we don't need, just to check, you know, make sure I have everything. And that's all I do is I just go through the packing list. Oh, need that, don't need that. Already have that in Korea. Because I have my mother-in-law lives in Korea, of course, so I can store a lot of my stuff at her house. Now, it's not going to be like sensitive stuff that's like something that's going to melt, or, you know, something really like that's going to spoil, anything like that. But like some of my equipment, I just leave in Korea because why not? I use it over there. Like I have a couple camera tripods that are just always in Korea. KiCat is permanently in Korea, just sleeps there in a box while I'm not there. Stuff like that. So yeah, I just go through a packing list and then go, and I'm there, and it's like, whoop-de-doo. Now I get to meet all the friends. Like for me, it's more about the people that are in Korea. Really, that's what stands out to me. Is I don't think about going to Korea and like, oh, I'm going to travel here. This time I'm got to eat this food and do this thing. It's, for me, it's all about who am I going to meet when I go to Korea? And that's all I think about is, oh, I'm going to get to meet, you know, my friend. I'm going to get to hang out with this, you know, this YouTuber I met at this one meetup. We're going to go hang out again and film videos this time. Kind of like that. I have a few new people I'm going to be meeting, which is great. Last year I had the fewest ever people I could meet just because so many of the previous people I met up with had moved out of Korea or moved to other states or quit doing YouTube or whatever. So this time I'm happy to have some new friends I can meet up with as well. But yeah. Soli says, hopefully million subs will come soon. Hopefully. Give it a few more years. But yeah, I wanted to do another live stream. We'll do a review also of 2 topics that I've taught before several times, but I want to teach them together a little bit more simply. So hopefully you should be a master of how to say because, at least with these 2 forms, because there are like 20 more, but at least with these 2 main forms. By August, it might not be erasable anymore. Well, then there you go. It's just, you're going to be permanent. I'll have to buy a new board. This will be the Kai board. I'll cut it out and frame it and put it on my wall. It'll just be this part. I'll just cut out this little cube, put it in a frame. My name will keep intruders out. Yes, they'll go in and they'll be like, wait, Billy knows Kai? That nobody is Kai Wick. It's like a rune of protection. Why does it remind me of Sam saying they're going to see the elves? Yeah, it's not quite. I'll be back. 안녕하세요, 선생님. 수업 하나 더 있다니 행복해요. Claire, thank you, Claire. Congratulations on 800,000 subscribers. Thank you. Claire Wilson. I'll write the whole thing. Wait, Willison, sorry. Well, I learned something new every day. Yeah, your names are permanently going to be here until I come back from Korea and do another live stream, which again will be sometime in August, middle of August, I'll say. I don't want to say it too soon because I might come back and feel like, oh, I feel great. Let's do a live stream this Sunday. But more likely, I'm going to be extremely jet lagged and extremely busy and editing videos I filmed and all this stuff. And I'll be like, oh, I can't do a live stream yet. Give me another week. So we'll see. Usually going to Korea, when you fly to Korea from the US, you go left, right? That's the way around the world you go. And when you go left, west, right? Your body is simply pushing the clock earlier and earlier and earlier as you fly, right? So to your brain, when you arrive in Korea, let's say you fly, it doesn't matter what time your flight is. If you leave in the morning or in the afternoon or at night, doesn't matter. Your brain thinks that you've simply stayed up an additional 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hours. That's what it feels like. It feels like you pulled an all-nighter to your brain. Now, that doesn't give you jet lag. Staying up late one night, like once a month, doesn't give you jet lag because you're just staying up late, right? It's not a big deal. Your brain's like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh man, that was a really, long night. I'm going to go to sleep now. And you sleep a little bit. Your brain's a little messed up for one day, but then you go back to normal, right? No problem. That's what your brain is like when you go to Korea. As long as you're traveling west. The problem happens when you travel the other direction, when you come back to the US or when you travel to the right on the globe, because your brain is the opposite. Now what happens is imagine waking up 4 hours earlier, but having to do that, or in this case, it's actually, 12 or however many hours different. I think it's like between now, it's like 15, 16 hours. But imagine you woke up extremely early one day and you're really tired, but you have to do it again the next day. How long does it take you to adapt to that schedule where you feel comfortable doing it and feel comfortable eating? Like, you're not going to be hungry at the same times when you do that. So that's the difference. Whereas going over there has always been easy. Every time I have a headache for one day and then I'm fine. Coming back though messes me up for at least like 5-6 days where I can't sleep properly. I can't really eat properly. Like I feel kind of weird and I'm just exhausted. And then like 3 weeks where I still kind of feel a little bit out of it, like not completely, full energy. So yeah, it's pretty tough. Anyway, I'm used to it. It's just what happens. Do you have any app besides Anki? I don't, actually. Not that there aren't good apps, but I think if you're looking for like an app to learn Korean, I think you're trying to look for like, the reason you're looking is because you want some sort of like, how can I learn Korean with an app, basically? Is there an app that'll teach me Korean? And the answer is no. There are lots of useful apps for studying though. Besides Anki, I also like Naver Dictionary, but Naver Dictionary app is literally just the browser shrunk into mobile. So it's not really an app per se. If you just load up the website, it'll be the same thing, but the app's nice because you get a little icon for it and it lets you like, you can log in and save stuff more easily. But no, not really. There isn't an app that I know of that has Korean lessons that tries to teach it to you, but there are some apps that'll do like review sorts of stuff, like, as you know, Duolingo and stuff like that. But I don't think any of those types of apps are really that helpful. Kai says, or I'll have to always donate $20, yes, to keep away the ghosts and the people who come into the room. They're like, oh, it's Billy's room. See what there is to take. Oh no. Then they see Kai's name. I don't want Adobe on my back. Billy, do you watch any TARS? I don't use Korean internet. Like, a lot of the Korean internet stuff you see is literally for children. And I don't mean that as like making fun of them, but the people in Korea who have time to do that sort of stuff tend to skew like teenage ears. So a lot of the websites on the internet that are like, forums and stuff like that tend to be more like teenager for the user base. Not everyone, but most of them. So not really. There are some exceptions, types of sites like a Korea. Twitter gets used by adults as well. Instagram is a popular one as well. But the culture there is a little bit different. It's more of just like sharing stuff that they're doing or things they're thinking of. It's not so much about like content. Like there isn't quite like a Reddit equivalent that I would say is equivalent enough that I would recommend using it. Let's just hope it won't be Wake Me Up in September. Yes. No, it'll be in August. I promise that. I won't make you wait till September. Lingo Deer and Anki. Yeah, Lingo Deer, I remember that was one that I got into when it was brand new. It was free, I believe, and then they had a really cheap lifetime membership for something like that. It was free though, mostly. And I liked what it had for free. A year or so after that, they completely changed it. They introduced a subscription model, and I don't like what it had for paid. There's a different amount of quality you expect in something that's free and something that's paid. Sometimes you can get really good stuff that's free that should be paid. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, my entire channel. But there's a lot of content I would say is great that it's free, but if it wasn't, I wouldn't recommend it. That would be one of them. So yeah, I mean, it's still if you want to compare it with other stuff, yeah, I'd still say it's better. I'm just a fan of getting what I pay for. If I'm paying a service $10 every month, I want to get $10 every month of value, right? Like, I don't want to pay for something that gives me 1 month of value, but I'm still paying for it every month. There are a few services like that. I don't think it's just about they want to earn money. I think they have a right to earn money if they want. They can do whatever. You can charge. I could charge whatever I wanted for my stuff. The customer doesn't have to pay it, but I could say, hey, starting today, all my videos are members only, right? My live streams are free, but all my videos are members only. Like, yeah, sure. But it just means the customers don't have to do it. So as a customer speaking, I wouldn't. I mean, as a teacher, I wouldn't recommend them anyway, just because, or I wouldn't recommend a specific app anyway as a teacher, just because I don't think there are apps that really have enough material to bring someone up to any sort of Korean level by itself. Like, you always still need extra stuff to go along with it. But as an additional resource, there could be a lot of apps that would be useful for that. The last time I took a look, though, was back in 2021. And I know some things have changed since then. There have been a lot of new apps since then. So maybe I should have another look at apps recently. Egg bun, I've not tried it. Heard of it, never tried it. But I'm going to say most likely it's the same as all the others, that it offers similar features, similar quality, and it'll have the same pros and cons of the other ones as well. That's just my guess, just because of the way that apps, at a basic level, the way that they work is by gamifying the idea of learning Korean, which is not possible to do with a language that's so different from English. So I think that's kind of a major flaw. You can't gamify something that isn't learned through a reward system. Like Korean, some parts of it you can gamify, but then you're missing the other parts that you can't. Like, you can gamify learning words, right? Memorizing this is this, you can gamify that. Yeah, match this, put this stuff in order. That's all possible to gamify. But you can't gamify any of the context, any of the grammar, anything like that. So it'll never be able to fill all of the spots it would need to get someone to any sort of basic level in Korean, even like a basic level. I might be wrong, but I feel pretty confident in predicting that without even trying it. We'll get started with our review in just 2 minutes. Let me see if there's any other questions we want to answer before. Zetra says, I'm steadily losing knowledge because of lack of practice. What would you recommend for short period study? I would need to know more about your situation. I don't want to give you generic advice. If you are able to provide more information, like maybe at the end of the class, if you post kind of a little more detail about what you're doing and what you want to do, then I can try to give you better feedback on it. But just hearing that, I'm not sure what to tell you without just giving you generic advice. Practice more, study more. So I want to give you something real. So give me some more information and I'll try to do that. Can I be fluent in Korean within 2 years? Yes. I've seen people get like conversationally fluent is what I like to say instead of fluent. Fluent is a very vague word. I've seen people get conversationally fluent in as short as 1.5 years, but it usually doesn't. Usually most people don't. That's if they're living in Korea and practicing a lot. So, but 2 years, yeah, it's possible. Will you get to Korean? Will you get that level in 2 years? That's completely up to you. But I feel like the answer is, for most people, it takes longer than that because they're not able to live in Korea, or if they can't live in Korea, they're not able to devote that much time and practice to doing it. So it wouldn't be fair to set the goal of 2 years to be fluent and then you miss it and you feel like, oh, I'm not smart enough, Korean's too hard, when that's not the case at all. I like apps that force you to speak. I feel like the best app that'll force you to speak is Kakao Messenger and calling your friend who only speaks Korean. I think that there wouldn't be any way to get speaking practice through an app without it using AI. And the problem with current gen AI, I can't speak to what it'll be in the future, but I feel like it probably won't change unless they have some new technology. But with current AI, it is very unnatural for Korean. It can't speak. It can't say natural sentences. It can make grammatically correct sentences. It'll make sentences that match the context, but it doesn't know what is natural sounding speech. Even something as simple as, like, in English, you say, hey, have a conversation with me. Like, you in English, it'll sound like completely natural. It can say all this stuff, you know? Korean, it's not there. So currently, no. Anything that would claim that it wouldn't be able to do any sort of natural speech. But, you know, as a beginner, if you don't need natural, you just need accurate, like really simple sentences, it's probably fine. Better than nothing, definitely. The apps that have speaking are so frustrating. I can purposely pronounce things terribly, and it's like, good job. That just reminded me, I know I have to get started with the class. There was a PlayStation game. The reason is I was at my brother's house yesterday, and we were reminiscing about our old PlayStation 2 games. And one of them was a karaoke game. I don't remember the name of it. It was a PlayStation 2 karaoke game that came with a microphone. And the game, the way it worked is you're supposed to sing. It was like Guitar Hero for karaoke, basically. You're supposed to sing, and all it would do is check if you made that pitch that was supposed to be in the song. It didn't notice if you were screaming or yelling so that like your pitch would cover multiple pitches. It didn't have a way to distinguish that. So all we would do is me and my brother, you just yell like, ah! Like the whole song, and it would register as every pitch at the same time and pass every song you did. It would be like, you'd see the crowd cheering. They'd give you like a really high score. And then meanwhile, you know, me and my brother would just be laughing our heads off. But yeah, there's a problem with any sort of device that uses on phone voice recognition, which is what they do. Otherwise, they have to send the voice to the cloud, wait for it to process, send it back to your phone, which takes a lot of time. So instead, they have the phone process the audio itself, and that'll depend on your phone then, right? Some phones are better at doing that or worse. So with certain apps, they'll have issues with that, where it won't recognize your voice. Even if you say it perfectly, even if you have a native say it, it won't recognize it unless you say it like really tobak, like really like annyeonghaseyo, like really clearly. It can't, because it's processing it from your phone. So, okay. So I figured to celebrate 800,000 subscribers, we should review something that at least 800 people in the world aren't comfortable with. And that's how to say because, specifically using the most common forms, sol and unika. And we're going to be talking about both of those. I definitely know we're going to get through sol. I'll try to also get through all of the unika, but we'll see how it goes. And I'll stop this class at the latest, like 3:30. We'll stop the lesson, and we'll talk a little bit after that. So if you have any other like detailed questions, you want feedback on your Korean, save that till after the class. I would like to help you with that, but we'll see how much we can get through. And I'm going to be using my sentences from this. Since I prepared this really quickly this morning, I rewrote a brand new lesson, but I'm reusing, because I didn't have much time. The examples I'm using are actually going to be taken from my recent Sentence Connectors course, which is free. There's a book version, but the course itself is 100% free. So that's on my channel. If you want more example sentences, check that out. Also check out my live streams I've done about these courses. Korean Made Simple teaches this. Conversation course teaches some of this. The beginner Korean course teaches some of this. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but I'm just going to be using sentences from that course. Just want to be upfront. In case you recognize any of the sentences, yes, they came from my new Sentence Connectors course, which is free. Okay, so first I want to talk about, oh, this pen is getting low. First, I wanted to talk about the grammar form sol. Sol is the most misused because form in Korean because it actually has 3 separate uses. It can mean because, but it also has 2 additional uses. You might already know these. We're going to be covering all 3 today. Yeah, I think that blue pen is kind of dying. I'll need to buy a refill for that. So we're going to be talking about all of its uses. Hopefully you can read the green. I know it's not as clear. Okay, these are all 3 uses of the particle, or I should say grammar form, sol. We'll talk about how to make it in a second, but it can be used to show the cause and effect of something. So like because of something, this is the meaning because that you all familiar with. Because of something. So something happens or there's some sort of effect and you're saying the cause for it. Like if you say A and then whatever verb, sol, B, you're saying that A causes literally B, but more naturally you just say B is because of A, right? And you probably have seen this before. So that's the main one we're going to be talking about. This can translate, though, to more than just because. In fact, because is often not how it gets translated. I'd say a more common translation for this form is so. Like if you say, my stomach hurts, or no, let's say, oh yeah, my stomach hurts, so I went to the hospital. Because my stomach hurts, I went to the hospital. You can translate it as because, but I feel like so works a lot better, and it's even easier to memorize because so kind of sounds like so, like my stomach hurts, so therefore. Or it could translate as therefore, literally. But yeah, so or because. We'll talk about all these three, just kind of giving the brief overview. It can also be used to show that two actions are related. So something happens and then something else happens. But these two actions are related. That might sound a bit vague. It'll make more sense when I give you some examples if you haven't seen this usage before. But yeah, so one thing happens and then something else happens, and these two things are related is also what Sol can do. And the third usage of Sol is to show the method or the way that something happens. And this will translate as by. Like I went home by walking, or by, I wouldn't say by a bicycle because that's actually a different form for a method of transportation. If you say by, like a car or something like that. But any sort of method that you do something, like I became a lawyer by studying. That sort of by, like by doing. The method that you did something, the method that you do something, it all is also how you can use Sol. So these three are the main ways for how Sol can be used. There are like a couple other fringe things it can be used, but this is pretty much it. So let's talk about these one at a time. Let me just check the chat real quick. Hope everyone's doing well. Oh, I got a donation. Oh, let me scroll up, make sure I didn't. I also see a couple comments I'll reply to. Lexica, thank you. Thank you for the $5 donation. And now your name is going to be permanently on here like a pharaoh's tomb all the way until August when I come back from Korea. Checking in for minute 7. Thanks for this review. It's much needed. Nice. Okay, let me check. I see a few comments before. Talk to Me in Korean. Seo app has human-made dialogues that let you practice pronunciation. Well, that's great. I am. Someone also said I'm against AI. Kind of, not quite in the way that it sounds. Like not generally. Like I don't have anything against using what we would normally do with like algorithms, right? Like programs would have algorithms, like editing programs, algorithms to automatically select the background in an image. That's technically AI, but it's not the type of AI. I'm more against using generative AI to replace what a person would do, or relying on generative AI, I think is the problem. Like if you make if a company wanted to use AI to give them ideas for something, I wouldn't really have an issue with it until they take those and copy paste them, like clean it up and then send it out. I'm like, nah, that's not what I want. Using AI to generate sentences is not a big issue, but the problem is then when they do is they'll check the sentences manually and they'll be like, oh, they all look good. Here you go. And then you see 5 books that all have the exact same style of sentences. Just they're grammatically correct. They were checked by a native, but they're all the exact same thing because that's all AI can do. You get the same stuff over and over again. Or a conversation where you say generate a natural Korean conversation. And it'll make perfect sense, except if you read it out loud, it is anything but natural sounding. So yeah, in that way, I'm against AI, but I don't want to say it as like I'm against technology. I like technology. I feel like a lot of the ways though it's getting used is not very smart, that they're putting too much faith in it, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah, like if someone writes sentences with AI, I can tell when they use AI to write their Korean sentences. You can tell. Not by one, but look at like a dozen of their sentences. You can tell. They're all the same style. AI is not creative enough Surprisingly, it's not creative enough with sentences. It comes up with the same sentences over and over again. So, okay. So how do you use the whole form? Well, you take a conjugated verb, which is just the verb conjugated, whoop-de-doo, like hada, hada, becomes hey. You should know how to conjugate a verb. It's the same as when you make the yo form. You just don't attach yo. Same thing though. Chupta, to be cold, you know, chuo, right? Let's see, what other verbs can we do? Let's do like another one with an exception. Norda, to play, nora. Just conjugate the verb like normal. There will be a lot of exceptions, right? If you've learned this, how to conjugate verbs. There are a lot of exceptions to it, but that's all you have to do. And then you attach sol to the end. However, there are 4 extra verbs we have to look at. And this is not exclusive to this form, sol, but with any conjugated verb, there are some exceptions. You probably already know these, so let me just kind of briefly go over them. So the first one I already talked about, hada. You know, conjugates as hey or heyo. Okay, again, this is not exclusive to this sol form, but it's how you normally conjugate a verb. Tueda, to become, becomes tue, right? So you get tue sol, hey sol, like that. Again, not exclusive to sol, but I'm still going over them. However, there are 2 alternate versions of these 2 verbs. Also not exclusive to this form, but you won't see these forms in the yo form, but you might see them with a lot of other grammar forms that also use conjugated verbs, kind of like the to ending. For example, like hada becomes hey to. Well, there's another way you can conjugate hada and tueda that you might also see. Hada can also become ha yo. Ha yo. So then you get ha yo so. And let me see if I have space here. Sure, okay. And then tueda can also become tueo instead of tue. You can get tueo. Same thing, actually tueo. This combines together to make this vowel anyway. And this combines together with this vowel to make this anyway. It's the same thing, but you might see these versions, hayo and tueo so. The same thing. The only difference is these are a little bit more fancy. And therefore, you're going to see these 2 in like formal written usage, but you're not going to see them in speech very much. So just these, but you might also see these. I just wanted to mention it. 2 more verbs we have to talk about. So ida. Ida, if you conjugate it to the yo form, you probably know you get ieyo after a consonant, or ie combines into yeyu when it's after a vowel. It's the same thing, but just a way of writing it shorter. So ieyo after consonant and yeyo. But that's not what we do with the whole form. You don't take that. What you actually have to do is use a completely different form. So ida, and this has to do with the archaic original way that ida would get conjugated. If you're wondering why, it's not like a random arbitrary thing. This is like an older style of conjugation that carried over into modern Korean. Anyway, so for ida, you get ida so. Ida is the conjugation you get when it's after a consonant, or just da so after a vowel. Ida so. However, what if we didn't know that ida becomes ieyo and yeyo? What if we just saw this verb ida and we tried to conjugate it as if it was a regular verb? Well, how do you conjugate a regular verb? We remove the ta, and then if it ends in the vowel u or a, one of these 2 vowels, we're going to attach ayo, right? And if it doesn't end with one of these 2 vowels, you're going to attach oyo, right? Since it's e, it's not or a, we're going to attach oyo, right? So now we have ioyo. Originally, ioyo became ieyo, if you're wondering. That's like the old kind of evolution of it. So we could take off 요 and we're left with io. Then we can attach sol to there. That is also an acceptable way of conjugating ida with grammar forms. I know this isn't only about sol, but with any grammar form, you might also see io. And what is io? Well, if you say io, we get yo. So you can also get yo sol, and that will be after a vowel, right? So after a consonant, you get io sol, and after a vowel, you get yo sol. Ioso and iraso have the exact same meaning, different origins for where they came from, but the exact same meaning. And you'll see io and yo in many other grammar forms too. I just want to bring that up because this isn't only with sol, but with the to form, with any form that uses the conjugated verb, you have these two options for how to conjugate ida, either as ira or io, and they're both correct. So what's the difference? I don't even know why I'm teaching this. This lesson isn't about this, but it's a bonus day. I can teach whatever I want. This is less common. It sounds less common, but it doesn't sound wrong. Doesn't sound awkward. It doesn't sound less native at all. It just is less common. So you might hear someone say, 뭐 그래서 you wouldn't say 그래서 because that's 그렇다. 그런 거여서 여서 그런 거라서 both are fine, but 여 or io is less common. So just something to be aware of. I believe, this is my guess, I believe that ieu and yeu also came up just because that's the most common variation of how people would pronounce them. So it kind of just got stuck because that's the most common way to do it. And it was more of like a specific version of ioyo becoming like ieu. Anyway, the same goes for anida, which is a little bit simpler. So anida originally is an plus ida, in case you didn't already know. Anida. So to not be. So it actually is simpler because there's no consonant or vowel in front of it. You don't have to worry. It's just ida always. So you get either an, and then ida becomes ida, right? So, or ani, same thing, ani also. This one is less common, the o version, because remember, it's an, I, o, like that, becoming anio as one piece. And anidaso is more common. This one's less common, but you will see both. And again, it's not exclusive to the sol form. I guess that's why I wanted to teach you this, because this is something that you can take with you for any grammar form that uses a conjugated verb. Same exact thing, same exact reason for to. And nothing's coming to mind right now, but there are a bunch of other forms also that use conjugated verbs. So anytime you use a conjugated verb, you'll see those two versions of ida as well as anida for the exact same reason. Just know the la version is more commonly used in speech. Okay. So that's the whole no, I'm just joking. So I said there's one more thing we have to talk about. So I said it uses a conjugated verb and then sol. So hada, as we talked about, hada becomes hey, right? Hey sol. So we get hey sol. That's it. There's nothing fancy about this form. You just take the regular verb and you take the regular conjugation and you attach sol. What you do not do is take a past tense verb conjugation or any other verb conjugation and attach sol. What am I talking about? Well, I've seen people do this before. They'll take the past tense conjugation, right? The past tense of hada is 했어, right? 했어요. So you take the past tense conjugation and then you attach sol. The reason is because I'm not saying because it is, I'm saying because it was, or because someone did something. 너가 그렇게 했어서. Because you did that, not 해서, but because you did it, not because you do it. So I've seen people do this a lot. Koreans too. So does that mean you should do it? No, for two reasons. The first reason I don't think is a very good reason, but I'll tell you it anyway. The first reason that you shouldn't do that is because it's grammatically incorrect. I don't want to write it. You know what I'm talking about. Grammatically incorrect. That's the first reason. I don't even care about that reason as a teacher, personally. I think grammatically incorrect, but used a lot, means grammatically correct, right? I mean, it does. Korean does that stuff all the time. Something that's grammatically wrong, but used all the time is now the grammatically correct way. The second reason, though, is what makes it more, is what I actually do agree with. Unnecessary. Because if you want to say that I did something because something happened, or it was because something was, the regular Seoul form already conveys that by the verb that comes after it, as you'll see when I give example sentences. For example, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the laundry because it rained. 비가 오다 is to rain. So you'd say 비가 와서, and then I couldn't do the laundry. That past tense in Korean is already conveyed by the end of the sentence where you say I couldn't do the laundry because it rains. Because the meaning of this form is a cause and an effect. Because of the rain. The rain coming down, the rain caused me to not be able to, past tense, not be able to, or was not able to do the laundry. It's not necessary to use a past tense verb stem here anyway, because it doesn't change the form meaning anyway. This form never means because. It just means cause and effect. And we'll talk about that in a second as well. But because of that, you don't need to use the past tense. Now, you will see sometimes Koreans will actually do it. Koreans who don't know, but I mean, don't tell them they're wrong. It doesn't matter. They don't want to be your friends if you're going to correct their Korean. That's just weird. But know for yourself, it sounds a little bit less educated if you do that. Keep that in mind. Maybe you want that. Maybe that's a nuance that you want to sound like you're less educated or less proper, but I don't think it sounds necessary. And most people don't do this, but I have heard it enough that I want to bring it up. The third reason is a secret reason why I think you shouldn't do this, because it only works with certain verbs. Or I shouldn't say it only works with certain verbs. There are a lot of verbs where it doesn't sound right. If you have a verb that has any sort of sound with this S letter already in it, then making the past tense sounds really awkward. So I'll give you an example. Actually, I'll give you an even more basic example than that. 있다. So like to exist or to have something, like, oh, I had it. So if you want to say like, oh, it's because I couldn't come to your party because I had an appointment. 약속이 있다, to have an appointment. So you would normally say 약속이 있어, and then what do? We just conjugate it regularly. 있어서, 약속이 있어서. So because I have an appointment, literally, I couldn't go. 못 갔어요. I couldn't go because literally the appointment existing caused me to 못 갔어요. I couldn't go. But let's say we're not that informed about how Korean works, and we just want to, and we think it means because. So we're going to be like, well, I want you to pronounce this before I read it. I want you to pronounce this before I read it. So this is what you would do if you wanted to use the past tense. It's 있었어, right? 있었어요. 있었어 is a little bit tricky to say, but it doesn't sound awkwardly tricky. 있었어. 나도 있었어. 나 약속이 있었어. I had an appointment. 약속이 있었어요. I had an appointment. It's a little bit, it has that double S sound, but it's not hard to say. It's now trying to say, you say this. Can you say this without laughing? Can you say this without fumbling in your sentence? You know what? Koreans say it, and it sounds, when Koreans say it who are native speakers, it sounds awkward. Honestly, hearing this sort of usage. And there are other verbs also that have this at the end or other double consonants at the end. And in all of those cases, it feels, to a Korean, it can also feel a little bit like a little bit weird. So it doesn't always get used in these sorts of cases. So just keep that in mind, that when you attach this, it's like, I'll say it for you. 있었어서. 약속이 있었어서. It sounds wrong. As soon as I say that, it actually sounds wrong. And in this case, you won't hear Koreans saying it much either. Like, they'll know it kind of feels a little weird to say. So it's not a consistently applied rule. It's not a rule that you could apply and it makes things easier or it helps clarify. You might hear people give explanations like, oh, well, it's because it had been in the past and now it's not anymore. That's not how it works, again, because the sol form does not mean because. So grammatically, it's not even necessary to do. Anyway, that's my spiel on why you don't need to use that. If you do want to say because something was in the past or because something will be in the future, and you need to say that, like you want to say, well, the reason that I couldn't go at the time was because at that time he or she had done that. There are legitimate cases where you're going to need to do that. Like, oh, not that at that time I'm talking about, but referencing that time in the past, or referencing now in the future because someone will do something. To make the past tense or the future tense, use the koshida ending. And you might not know that this is used for both past and future. You do it by either attaching this for the past or this for the future onto the verb stem. Hada, han, koshida. So han, I'll show you what that looks like. Or future tense, hada would become hae, koshida, which is the regular future tense ending. So use this and then apply the sol form to this. And now you can say because someone had been, because someone will be. It's usually not necessary, but if you do need to use it, this will sound natural. So let me show you really quick what this looks like. Again, you can just write this down in your notes if you want to know it for later. If you already know the koshida form, that's great. It's the exact same form. Like han, past tense, han, koshida, which becomes what again? La sol, right? Or yo sol if you want. But as you know, if you've learned koshida, kot becomes more often ko, and then you get la sol. So you get ko plus ida, which is ko da, which gets ko la sol, like that. So han ko la sol. Or future tense, hae ko la sol. 내가 할 거라서, because I'm going to do it. 철수가 한다고 할 거라서, because 철수 will say that he's doing it. You know, whatever you want to say, might not be the most natural without context, but there are going to be contexts where you will want to say that. So yeah, just use the koshida ending. If you've never seen that before, all you're doing is you're attaching a adjective of any verb, action or descriptive, in the past tense or the future tense before koshida. And then you conjugate ida in koshida. So that's how you say, that's another way to say the past tense or the future tense. And I have a video about that on my channel in the Korean FAQ series. If you search the difference between 할 거예요 versus, the difference between 한 거예요 versus 했어요. So there are two past tense in Korean and two of those future tense forms. Anyway, there's also a present tense. You can also do this in the present tense too. If you take the 는 with adjectives, with action verbs as an adjective, like 하는 거라서, but that's for a different lesson. Anyway, okay, that's way more information than we need before I even gave you one single sentence about how to use sol. I apologize for that if you've never learned sol before. I hope you've learned it before and we're just doing a quick review. So, okay, so now let's get into what is this whole cause and effect. So for cause and effect, you can use any type of verb you want. Action verb, doing something, descriptive verb, describing something. And what it means, if you have a verb here and then the sol form and then whatever you have after it, whatever the sentence is, what you're literally saying is A cause B. Could be causes, present tense, or caused if this B ends in the past tense. Or, I wrote that really weird. I started writing a effect with an A. The effect of A, like A happening or A being a certain way, has an effect, and that is B. You can also just translate it to like A, because of A, B. So like B is because of A. And that's fine too. But like I said, the actual meaning of it, the actual meaning is not really B is because of A. This is how you can translate it, like because of A, B. Like because it rained, I couldn't go. Because I'm full, I don't want to eat that. you can think of it like because when you translate it, but actually that's not what's happening. And if you think of it as because, you're going to make mistakes, because there are a lot of cases where you cannot use this to mean because, which I'll talk about. But it really means A causes B. A is the reason, A is the cause, and B is the effect, is what it means. So I'll give you a few examples. Again, these examples are all from the conversation course. So if you like them, get the conversation course. It's free, not selling you anything. Although there is a book you can buy. The course is free. So let's say 비가 와서. So 비가 오다 is to rain. And then 빨래 is laundry. 빨래를 안 했어요. Let me check the chat real quick. Okay, so yeah, they're the exact same meaning. 라서 and 요소, exact same meaning. Just like I said, the la usage for any of these forms, and there are other grammar forms too, you'll see that have that same thing, is the more colloquially used in speech. 비가 와서. So literally, again, we're not thinking of this as like because it rained. You can translate it that way when you make your nice natural translations for your when you're subtitling a Korean drama. Translate it as because. But in your head, the rain, it rained, and that caused, what did that cause? 빨래를 안 했어요. I didn't do the 빨래, the laundry. The rain coming, literally, raining, caused me to not do my laundry, is what you're actually saying. That's actually, but that'll help when we start talking about when it can and can't be used, because that's literally what you're saying. Raining caused me to not do my laundry. Yeah, the rain caused me to not do my laundry today, is what you're saying. 비가 와서 빨래를 안 했어요. So I didn't do my laundry because it rained. Okay, let's do another one. So, 바빠서, being busy caused me, or caused someone, whoever we're talking about, being busy caused me to what? What did being busy cause me to do? What could being busy cause me to do? We're just going to say something really simple for this example because, you know. Being busy caused me to not be able to do it. 못해요, I can't do it. Being busy causes me to not be able to do it. The reason, the cause, is being busy, and the effect of being busy is I can't do it. So again, we're saying being busy causes me to not be able to do it. That's actually what we're saying. But when you translate it to English, our nice, friendly English words, we're going to say, I can't do it because I'm busy. But again, it doesn't mean because. This is not just a reason. This is actually saying something causes. And it's, again, this will be really important. Trust me. You're going to be glad you didn't just write down because. 바빠서 못해요. So being busy causes me to be unable to do it. So I can't do it because I'm busy. Let's do one more sentence and then we'll talk about the elephant in the room. Why you need to be translating it this way. Okay. 늦다 is to be late. It's actually both an action verb and a descriptive verb. You can say something was late, or you can say I am late, like arriving late, basically. 늦어서. So being late causes me to what? 미안해요, to be sorry. Being late is what causes me to be sorry. I'm sorry because I'm late. But you're not saying I'm sorry because I'm late. Actually, in Korean, you're saying being late is what makes me feel sorry. Yeah, I feel sorry because I'm late. But again, it's the being late that makes me feel sorry. Specifically, because I'm late, being late makes me feel sorry. I feel sorry when I'm late because being late makes me feel sorry, is what you're saying. This is important because you're not going to be using... Yes, let me just double check for the other things. Yes. you're probably not going to be using our other form to say an emotion like this. You're not going to be using our other form to say an emotion. I'll talk about why when we do the next form. This form is going to be most of the time the only one you can use to say any sort of emotion. So doing something causes me to feel a certain way can only be done because I feel a certain way because of, can only be done for the most part with this whole form because of this, because you're saying something causes me to feel a certain way is what you're saying. So there are two major things you cannot use this form to say because with. You cannot use the sol form to say, because of something, you do something. Like, do it. Do it now. Or, because of something, let's do something. Because, let's look at it this way first. Let's look at it this way. The weather's so nice. So, or because the weather's so nice, go outside and have some fun. You cannot say that with this form. You also can't say this. Man, because I feel great today, let's get something to eat. Man, you know, I always wanted to visit Seoul, so let's go to Seoul tomorrow. You can't use it for any sort of command or suggestion. Why? Does that seem arbitrary, or do you get it? Do you get why you cannot use the cause and effect grammar form to say commands or suggestions? Let me lay it out for you. Because it rained, bring an umbrella. And you can't. Why? Because what you would be saying is, the raining causes me to do it, which doesn't make any sense because you're telling someone to do something. You're giving a command. So, 비가 와서 우산을 챙기세요. 우산을 챙겨가세요. Bring an umbrella. 우산을 꼭 챙기세요. Make sure to bring your umbrella. 비가 와서, and you can't say it because you would be literally saying the rain causes you bring an umbrella. Doesn't make any sense. The same goes with a suggestion. 날씨가 너무 좋아. 날씨가 너무 좋아서 공원에 나 놀러 갈까? Should we go hang out at the park? You can't say that because what you're saying is the weather being so good causes let's go to the park, which grammatically makes no sense. No, it doesn't make any sense in English or in Korean. So this is not an arbitrary rule. It just freaking makes no sense because 서 only means there's a cause and an effect. So this causes something is only going to be a standard, what we call a statement, like someone does something, or it could be a question, like, is it? But it cannot be a command or a suggestion because it doesn't make any sense. You can't cause, do it, and you can't cause, shall we? So they don't make any sense. So there are no examples for that. Instead, what you can use is the next form we're going to be using. The 으니까 form can be used and is commonly used with commands and suggestions. We'll talk about that next, but you cannot use the whole form because it makes no sense. Okay, so really, did my tablet just turn off? Okay, let me check here. That's really all there is to using the whole form to say a cause and an effect. Like, I can give you 100 more examples. And if you want 100 more examples, check out my beginner course. Check out my sentence connector course. There's a other lesson on my website. There's not my website. There's a lesson here. I did a live stream also about the soul form with a bunch of examples. There's a worksheet for it. So if you want more examples of that, but that's it. There is literally nothing else to using sol to mean because. It really just means something causes something else. That's it. Nothing special about that. There are two more uses though of the sol form, which are also really common. So we're going to talk about the next one. The sol form used in the exact same way. Again, only the regular verb conjugated, like 하다 is 해서. The end. If you do that, you can also use the 서 form to say that two actions are directly related. Now, there are some restrictions to this. It's only when it's used after an action verb. So you would not use like 춥다 to be cold. 추워서. It's not going to be this. It has to be two actions that are related. So it'll always only be action verbs. Like 하다, to do, could be 해서, 먹다, 먹어서, or whatever like that. 가다, 가서. But you wouldn't, again, use descriptive verbs. Like, again, 춥다 doesn't make any sense. 친절하다, to be kind, wouldn't make any sense for this form. If it's a descriptive verb using the 서 form, it has to be the first form that we talked about, which is cause and effect. It has to mean because, or so, or therefore. But if it's an action verb, it could also mean this. If it's a verb that's related to another verb. So what does that mean? This is similar to the grammar form 고, meaning this form translates as and or and then, exactly like 고. So I do something and then I do something else, or I do something and I do this. But it's a little bit different because it doesn't just mean these two actions both happen, like 고. All 고 does is show, as we talked about last week, all that 고 does is show the order in which things happen. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. It has no connection between them. So let me give you an example. First, let me give you a wrong example first. Okay. How to identify 서 if it's a reason or a sequence. You'll always know. 친구를 만나고. Again, this sentence is wrong. I should just point that out. This sentence is wrong. I mean, it's grammatically correct. You could say it. It could make sense in some context from a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan said, but it's wrong. 친구를 만나고 점심을 먹었어요. So what did you do today, Bobby? Well, 친구를 만나고 점심을 먹었어요. I met my friend today and I also ate lunch. That's fine. That sentence is actually correct. Grammatically fine in Korean and sounds natural. However, it's not what you mean in English when you say I met my friend and had lunch. Because when you say you met your friend and had lunch, you ate lunch with your friend. That's what everyone assumes, right? But in Korean, it's not assumed unless you connect those two actions together. It's not assumed that you did those two actions together unless they're connected. 친구를 만나고 점심을 먹었어요 only means I met my friend, and then after meeting my friend, what happened? Again, in order, I met my friend and I ate lunch. And I met my friend first, and then I ate lunch after that. That's all that 고 means. And we talked about that last week too. If you say this to someone, it does not mean you ate lunch with your friend. I mean, they might think you misspoke and you meant to say you ate with your friend if you're a Korean learner. But if a Korean person said this to someone else, like, oh, 오늘 뭐 했어요? What'd you do today? 친구를 만나고 점심을 먹었어요. Well, 친구도 만나고 점심도 먹었어요 is probably what they would say. They'd add in 도. Like, oh, I also met my friend and I also ate lunch. It just means that you happen to meet a friend. Maybe you met a friend in the morning and said bye, and then you went by yourself and ate lunch. If you mean, I met my friend and we ate lunch, then you need to say this. 친구를 만나서 점심을 먹었어요. And before you ask, how do you know this doesn't mean because? Meeting my friend caused me to eat lunch. Meeting my friend caused me to then eat lunch. I mean, it doesn't sound horrible. It makes sense. I mean, in a somewhat weird way, it kind of makes sense. Meeting my friend is what caused me to eat lunch. I met my friend. Because I met my friend, I ate lunch. Like, okay. It's going to feel better, though, to think of it as like, I met my friend and, just and, or and then we ate lunch. But if you were to mistranslate this in your head, like you're still learning about this for the first time, it's not going to be too bad. You'll still kind of get what you're trying to say. And eventually with practice, when you start to recognize action verbs used with sol, you'll think, is this the because, or is this the other feel? Is this the other one? Is this related? And then when you do that a lot, you actually won't be thinking about that anymore. You'll hear an action happening sol, and then you'll be able to pick up right away if they're talking about something that was affected or if it's something that's just related. Now, in reality, these are actually the same thing. It's not really distinguished in Korean. Like, oh, that meant that. Oh, I see, that meant that. It's all the same form. This is just to help you distinguish them as far as we use them in English. But in Korean, it's all the same thing. 친구를 만나서 점심을 먹었어요. So these again are actions that are related. They have to be related. So if you ate lunch with someone else, you could not say this. But if you ate lunch together, you have to say this because meeting your friend and eating lunch are related. 오늘은 today a book 책을 사다 to buy a book 책을 사고. So I bought a book. We know it's bought because it's the end of the sentence is 했어요. So you don't need to add the past tense. This isn't for the same reason though as you can't add the past tense for 서. This is the 고, which is a different form. You can add the past tense if you need to emphasize that something was completed in the past, but most of the time you don't need to do that. If you wanted to say I had bought a book today and studied, then you can say 샀고, but otherwise you don't need to say it. And there are cases when you do, but for regular sentences, you don't. You just use the regular present tense and 고. So I bought a book and 공부를 했어요. I studied. So what did you do today? 오늘은 책을 사고 공부를 했어요. It's a fine sentence. It means, what did I do today? Well, on my to-do list, I have buy a book and I have studying. I actually bought a book about cheese making in the Middle Ages. And I actually studied Korean. 오늘은 치즈에 대한 책을 사고 한국어 공부를 했어요. It's a perfect sentence. Because they're two different actions. They're not related. Just, I bought a book today and then, I did some studying. But if you meant, you can't read that says 한국어. 오늘은 한국어 책을 사서 공부를 했어요. It means I bought a book and then I studied with it. And if you were to say I bought a Korean book and studied with it, it means you studied Korean. But even if you don't say this, you still have I studied using that book. So the act of buying a book and studying are now connected when you use this. 오늘은 책을 사서 공부를 했어요. So I bought a check. Sorry, I've been doing Korean teaching for a long time now. I bought a book and I studied with the book, is what it means. If you didn't mean that, then you would say 고, because 고 does not connect them. But translating 고 and 서 can be the same. They both translate as and or and then. So I bought a book and studied with either 고 or 서. But again, 서 connects them. They're now the same. They're part of the same action when they're connected. That's a point. When you use 서, whatever you're doing, you're putting them into the same group. It works with the because meaning too. Raining and not being able to do my laundry are now one, right? It connects them together. That's what the 서 form does. It connects things together. Because I'm sorry, I'm late and I'm sorry are now connected. I'm busy and I can't do it are connected. I bought a book and I studied are connected. It's, again, hopefully this kind of helps, that these are not like three separate uses of the four. It's literally the same grammar form in all three of these uses. But it's better to break them up so you can kind of understand that it has different uses when you translate it into English. Okay, so let's do another. I know it's a little messy. I'll do 공부를. There'll be an object marker in here, whatever, sure. Okay. 도서관, a library. 도서관에 가. Whatever. 공부를 했어요. So if you wanted to just say, what did you do today? Well, I went to the library and, I also did some studying. That's all it means if you use 고. Like, I went to the library today and that's where I did my homework, and then I came home and I did my studying. Just two things I did today are going to the library and studying. Is 고. 서 means you studied at the library. Because, why? Going to the library, studying are now one. Like, it's the force. It brings everything together. That's what I mean when I say that 서 makes things into related actions. Someone said A.M. Thompson means friend was lunch. If you were to say that I met my friend and ate lunch, if you were a cannibal, then it could be the form you'd use. But it doesn't. You said you already ate lunch, so you're not eating the friend. If you said 친구를 만나서 먹었어요, then yeah. But you wouldn't just say that. You're saying I ate. What did you eat? I ate lunch. You wouldn't say I met my friend and ate. Like, okay, that could be cannibal, but because you're saying I ate lunch, it's not. 도서관에 가서 공부를 했어요. So I went to the library and I ate lunch at the library. I went to the library and I studied. Are one. That's what I mean by related actions. It puts them together as one thing. Think of that hand analogy. That will help when we do the third form also for 서. Let me write this a little bit nicer for you. Okay. 열심히 is to do something diligently, or if you're talking about like studying, then it's to study hard. 열심히 공부를 해서. So I studied hard. 변호사 is a lawyer. 변호사가 됐어요. Became a lawyer. So you can look at this in two ways. You can look at it as studying hard is what caused me to become a lawyer. I became a lawyer because I studied hard. Fine. It's the same form. More naturally in English, though, you would say, I studied hard and became a lawyer. But it's the same thing in Korean. I studied hard and became a lawyer. Basically, I studied hard, became a lawyer, are connected. But you could also think of this as, because I studied hard, I became a lawyer. Or I studied hard and therefore I became a lawyer. Is fine too. You're not going to misinterpret the sentence. You can translate based on that. You can answer based on that, and you'll be correct, because in Korean, it's all the same thing. It's all the 서 form. Koreans are not thinking, oh, this is a because meaning. Oh, this is a connected action meaning. Or this is a method or way. It's the same thing. Okay, so I studied hard and became a lawyer, is what you're saying. But again, studying hard and becoming a lawyer, like it's connected. So I studied hard and then I became a lawyer. You can also think of it like that. Or because I studied hard, or studying hard is what caused me to become a lawyer. Sure. Okay. Again, if you want more examples of this, check out my channel for the other live stream about the 서 form, as well as the worksheet. There's one more form of the, how is it already 3 o'clock? Almost. Okay, there's one more usage of the 서 form. And that is to show the method or the way by which someone does an action. So basically the way something happens, the methods that something happens. And just like with our last one, this is only with action verbs. So if you see, again, something with a descriptive verb, it only could be the meaning of because, like cause and effect. But if you see something with an action verb, it could be any of these three. But this one is only with action verbs. Again, it describes the method or the way that someone does an action. So the way that something happens, an action, has to be an action verb. For example, Actually, oh wait, I'm gonna write it down here because I'm gonna rewrite it second time. Okay, there we go. I'll put it here. The okay, first let's look at just a part of this sentence. Let's just look at this part first by itself. 먹었어요. 빵을 먹었어요. 빵을 먹었어요. 빵, bread. Now, 빵 can also be pastries. Just keep that in mind. If you're ever talking about, if someone ever says they want to eat 빵, what they mean is they don't mean they want a bread roll. They mean they want to go to a cafe and get some pastries there, or go to a bakery and get some pretty pastries. In Korean, all that stuff is called 빵. And a place you go there is a 빵집, which is literally bread house or bread restaurant. That's a bakery. But again, it could be like a patisserie. It could be like a patisserie, you know, like a fancy bread place. So it's not just bread. It's any sort of bread like desserts or anything like that also count. In fact, they don't have savory breads at most places. You have to go to like a bakery, an actual like a European or a German bakery or something like that will have it. A lot of the Korean bread will be more of like the sweet variety. But anyway, 빵을 먹었어요. I ate bread. Okay, perfect sentence. But if you want to describe how you ate it, well, I ate bread by dipping it in sauce. 소스 is sauce. So 소스에 찍다. 찍다 is a lot of meanings. It has like take a photo, 찍다. It can be to chop something, 찍다, like with an axe. It can be to dip, 찍다. You're also doing this sort of action. So 찍다, in sauce. So how did you eat your bread? Well, I ate the bread by dipping it in some sauce. 소스에 찍다. So we have 찍다. Again, we conjugate it. 찍어서. 빵을 소스에 찍어서 먹었어요. So, it shows the method or the way by which you're doing an action. How did I eat the bread? Well, I ate it by the method of dipping it in sauce. But it's even simpler than that. Dipping it in sauce. Dipping the bread in sauce. Eating it. It's literally the same thing in every case. But it's a different way we would interpret it in English. So it's good to keep it separate in your head until once you get used to this form. I guess what I'm trying to say is once you hear this form used a lot, you will not think of this as which form are they using it in? Is it this one or this? It's not like you're going to get faster at recognizing it. No, because what's actually going to happen is you're just going to understand it the way that Koreans feel it. And it's this. And once you get that, you're not going to be trying to figure out in your head which of these three is it. You'll just know, you'll feel like, oh yeah, oh of course, because it connects them. In every usage with Seoul, it connects it together. It's the glue that binds the galaxy together. And I killed your father by chopping off his legs and leaving him to die in the lava. And your father also built the robots that are right here, at least one of them. And the other robot was was there when your mother died and gave birth to you and your sister. Oh, and by the way, Leia's your sister. Don't let her kiss you. That would be really weird. Okay. So it describes the method or the way by which something happens by doing the exact same thing, connecting them together. Next. Okay, I went home. 집에 갔어요. Hopefully this is pretty simple. 집에 가요. I go home. 집에 갔어요. I went home. How did you go home? Well, I walked. 걷다 is to walk, but when you conjugate it, you get 걸어요, right? So we're going to get 걸어서. So I got home 걸어서 by walking. I went home by walking, literally. We would just say, I walked home. If you say 집에 걸었어요, that doesn't make sense. It means I just walked to home. That would literally, it would sound like saying I walked to home. Because in Korean, they say how they went there. They went because you're saying you went home, not just that you walked in the direction of your house, but you walked to your house. The destination is to your house. So you're not just saying I went home, but I went home walking. 걸어서 갔어요. Let's do one more. Of the three uses, this is the least used, but it's still common. It's just the least used of the three, I would say. Oh yeah, I mean there is a really common one I'll show you, I guess, after this. But okay, one more regular sentence. Okay. 샐러드, 샐러드를 섞어서 먹었어요. So, 샐러드를 먹었어요. I ate salad. Well, how did you eat it? Well, I ate it by mixing it up. I ate my salad by mixing it up and then eating it. 섞어서, 섞다 is to mix up. So I mixed it and, again, I mixed my salad and I ate it. So that's how I ate it, by mixing it, is what you're saying. But again, it's the same thing, because you could also interpret this as I mixed my salad and then I ate it, right? And then I mixed my salad and ate it. Sure. So which of the three meanings is it? Well, that'll just depend on what you feel sounds most natural for that sentence in English. But again, in Korean, keep in mind, it is not changing between those three in Korean. It's always the same thing, which, again, will make it easier for you when you get good at it. Oops. Wrote that one upside down. 만나서 반가워요. So, 만나다 is to meet. 반갑다 is not what you think. 반갑다 is actually to be nice to see someone. I wrote that really weird. It's nice to see something. So when you say 반갑다, you're not saying nice to meet for the first time. You're saying nice to see you. But because you're not just saying 반가워요, oh, 반가워요, nice to see you is okay when you meet someone. 만나서 반가워요. So meeting you makes me feel nice to see you is what you're literally saying. It's nice to see you meeting you. Literally is when you say 만나서 반가워요. But you'll also see people just say, oh, 반갑네요. Oh, 반가워. Oh, 여기서 보니까, oh, 반갑네요. Like, oh, it's really nice to see you here. Even though I know you, you can still say 반갑다. Because again, it doesn't mean meeting. It just means seeing someone. Happy to see it. You can say, it's nice to see when people do this. Like, oh, I saw someone giving up their seat for an older lady. Oh, it was really nice to see that. That's 반갑다. It's nice to see something. It just means it gives you a good feeling to witness something or to see something is 반갑다. So anyway, same form. Okay, before we go on to the next form, I know I'm already at past 3 o'clock. I didn't know it would take this long, but actually I think I did. There's one more hidden rule about the 서 form. This rule is very hidden. Technically, with a few exceptions like 만나서 반갑다 because it's more used as a common expression, the 서 is actually optional in all three of these uses. What that means is whether you add it or not, just the regular conjugated verb itself is what's doing all the heavy lifting. 서 is 100% optional. In every case, you can make all the sentences I gave you. 비가 와 빨래를 안 했어요. 바빠 못해요. 늦어 미안해요. But there's a caveat. Most often though, if you're talking about a cause and effect or a related action, most of the time, use it. Most of the time, use it. It can sound a bit messy to not use the Seoul form for cause and effect, so to say because, or when something's related, like a related action, right? We have basically and then or and. So because and, you do want to use it, but you might see a sentence without it. It's grammatically okay. Don't get mad at them. Although it won't be used in speech. However, if you're talking about a way or a method, most of the time, you do not add Seoul when you're talking about a way or a method. It's okay to do it, but the sentences I gave you would all have been more natural if you didn't add Seoul. 빵을 소스에 찍어 먹었어요. 집에 걸어갔어요. 샐러드를 섞어 먹었어요. Also are fine. So when you're talking about a method or a way, most of the time they remove it, but you don't have to. You can still add it if you want it to be clear. But for any other use, most of the time you should use it. But I'm letting you know that it's optional because there are a lot of cases where you will see it in writing. In formal or slightly fancy sounding writing, you'll see people make sentences that do not use it. And you might be confused. How come the sentence has an unconjugated verb in the middle? What is this? It's the Seoul form. It's this same form. Or I shouldn't even say it's the Seoul form. It's the regular conjugated verb that already does this. But the Seoul form makes it stronger and clearer. So I recommend using it, but be able to recognize it. If you see a sentence that has just a conjugated verb without anything, it's this form. It's this form. All three of these uses, it's the same thing. Okay. Let me check the chat. 파스타 비벼서 맛있게 먹었어요. Yeah. You gotta mix up your pasta. 파스타를 비벼서 맛있게 먹었어요. Kato Kit says, how does it differ from uro? Uro is used only with nouns. But that is how you would say how the method or the way or the means or the tool that you use to do something with a noun is by uro. And this one, it works like that, but for verbs. Okay. So we're not done, although I did already teach longer than I wanted to. Let's talk briefly about 으니까. So 으니까 also means because, just like 서. Although, as we just learned, 서 does not really mean because, right? It means cause and effect. First of all, when you're talking about 으니까, the 가 is actually optional. Just like 서 is optional, the 가 at the end is also optional. So if you don't use it, you might see, although the ways you'll see it not used is different than 서. I said that if you don't use 서, it sounds more like formal, fancy, written. If you don't use 가, it sounds like fancy, formal speech or writing. Whereas I don't see 서 getting removed as much in regular speech, but I will see the 으니 used pretty commonly in slightly fancier speech as well as writing. So if you see 으니, it can be the same form. Although there is another form that could also end in ni, which is not this. We'll talk, actually I won't talk about that. That's a different lesson. But if you see 으니, it probably is this form as well. Yeah, you'll see it in both speech and writing, but most often in regular, everyday speech, 가 is added. That makes it sound a little bit more emphatic. So 가 adds more emphasis. It's like because of that. And this 으니까 form, or 으니, has two main uses. One of them we're going to talk about today. The other one we're not going to talk about today, but I'll briefly mention it at the end. So the main thing it does is it gives the reason for something. It says the reason for something. And that means you can actually translate this one as because it's actually for saying the reason. It's not a cause and effect. It's not saying this causes something, but you're just saying this is because of something. This is the thing that happened. The reason for this thing is this. So it has an actual reason meaning. But there's a condition for that. This is all the opinion of the speaker. That might sound obvious, like, well, of course, if the speaker says it, it might be they're not sure about it, but it actually has the nuance that this is the speaker's opinion. So you can translate it as because. You can also translate it as so, just like so. It translates just as fine either way. But again, it's the opinion. And it has a second meaning. This is the first meaning. The second meaning I won't be talking about in detail, although I will mention it after. The second meaning is that the speaker realizes something. So you can translate it as like, I realize that. I realize. So I realize, so doing something, and then I realize. However, this, if you use unika to say that the speaker realizes something, most of the time, not always, there are cases where it's used by itself. Most of the time, though, this will be used with other grammar forms. I'll write up some of those really quick just so you can reference them. All of these other grammar forms and more are in my free sentence connector course if you want to learn about them, but I will give you a disclaimer, they are more intermediate and advanced level. But some of them you might see are like ko, nanika, or ko nani, or ko, or ta, or taga, ponika, or just the grammar form where you conjugate a verb and then you attach ponika, like hey ponika. Oops. So anytime you see this unika form attached into like either ponika or nanika or something after another grammar form, like another sentence connector, it's this usage. It's the speaker realizes something. And again, all of these, I'm not going to be covering these today because it would be a whole other lesson for each of these individually. But if you want to learn more about them, they're in my Korean sentence connector course, which is free on YouTube. All of these are covered in there. Everything's covered for free. The book has extra sentences, but the course has all the same forms. Okay, so let's talk then focusing on the first usage, which is the most common one you're going to be worried about because, you know, like I said, it's used with other grammar forms to mean realize, but when it's used by itself, it's used just to say the reason for something. So the way it works is you just take a verb stem. I think this pen, I have to let this pen, I'm not going to throw it away because this is a refillable one, but I'm going to have to cap it, refill that when I come back from Korea. So you take a verb stem. Again, we're not conjugating a verb like before where we had hada becoming hey. This time you just take the stem. So hada is just ha. And then you attach unika if it ends in a consonant or nika if it ends with a vowel. So hanika. You're done. Now, what? Okay, there are some exceptions that happen anytime you have any grammar form that begins with this letter. There are certain exceptions that will apply to every verb stem. Well, it could, no, sorry, not any verb stem, to any verb when they meet a grammar form that starts with this letter. So this one is the grammar form ne, the grammar form na, the grammar form ni, all these grammar forms, nya, have this letter. Anytime you see this letter, there are always going to be exceptions for the same types of verb stems. And you probably have seen some of these before, like the verb stem that ends with P or the L one or the H one, for example. And these would be ones you would have already learned when making adjectives anyway, but I'll give you some really quick refreshers, like 춥다, to be cold. You don't get 추우니까, you get, remember you have to remove this, you remove the P up, you add u, and then you attach nika. So 추우니까. For 멀다, to be far away, 멀, you don't get 멀으니까, you get 머니까. Wow, I wrote that really messy. 머니까. Or for the verb 그렇다, to be so. 그렇다, you get 그러니까. Again, these will be the same exceptions for any grammar form that starts with that letter, the N letter. So it's not just this. If you've already seen other grammar forms that have weird exceptions, it's the same ones. It's always the same types of verbs, especially these two. Always think about these two for verb stems because a lot of these will have exceptions. But anytime you see a grammar form that starts with this, pay attention because it'll probably have exceptions for how you conjugate it. And it'll be the same across the board with any grammar form that does this. Okay, so that's how you make it. And besides those verb stems, everything else is the same. So if we have like, and then the other thing is, while I said you only use the present tense with the sol form, like hada is only just 해서, not 했어서. This one, however, is not. Because, again, you're saying the reason for something. If you say A, 으니까 B, you're saying B is because of A, or A is the reason for B, right? So because that's all you're saying, you're just saying the reason can be a past tense thing. You're not saying that A causes B, where in which case A doesn't have a tense. It just happens. A is what causes whatever happened, or whatever will happen, or whatever happens. But with this one, you can use a past tense verb stem. How do you get that? The exact same way you would conjugate a verb to the past tense, just like for the sol form. So like hada would normally become 했어요, right? Well, the stem of a past tense verb stops whenever you get to this part. So instead of saying 했어, where we attached it, we're not doing conjugation. We're not conjugating. We're just taking the stem, in which case 으니까. So every single past tense verb stem will always attach 으니까 because it ends in a consonant. So as soon as you get to these letters at the end of any sort of past tense verb stem, you just attach 으니까. So 했으니까. Because I did that. Again, A is the reason for B. So doing A is the reason why something happened. Or because I do A, or because I will do A. Anything you want to say is fine because this is just talking about a reason. So you can use the present or the past tense for 으니까 because it's actually talking about the reason for something. But again, when you say A 으니까 B, you're actually not giving the actual reason. Oh, I wrote that really weird. Maybe. Don't criticize my Korean writing too much. My English is worse, I promise you. This might not be the actual reason because again, it's the speakers. Again, it's the speakers. It's what the person speaking. It's your opinion. So it might not be the actual reason. That means you can translate this form to help you out. Just like I told you to think of sol as like a cause and effect, I want you to think of this as an opinion. It's my opinion that. When you use 으니까, it's like saying, it's my opinion that. Because. It's my opinion that the reason is, whatever you want to say. It's my opinion that it's because of that, or that happened, so it's my opinion, is what you're saying. It's my opinion, is what you're expressing. And that's important because there are cases when you can and can't use this form just like the last one that have exactly to do with that. Okay, so before I go completely insane, let me give you a few example sentences. Okay. 시간이 없어요. I don't have any time. 시간이 없으니까. Yeah, it's my opinion that because I don't have any time, 마음대로 하세요. Because I don't have any time, 마음대로 하다 is literally to do as your heart wants. So do whatever you want. Because I think I don't have any time. So I think is another way you can kind of think about this. So either it's my opinion that, or I think. So because I think I don't have any time, do whatever you want. I don't think I have any time, so do whatever you want. 시간이 없으니까 마음대로 하세요. So do whatever you want because I don't have any time is how you can translate it, naturally. But it's kind of like saying, I don't think I have any time, so do whatever you want. Again, it's my opinion. I don't think. My opinion is, if you want my opinion, well, I don't have any time, so do whatever you want. Because we're talking about our opinion. We can give a command. So you'll often see 으니까 used with commands because it's fine to say, I think something, so because of that, do it. I think something, so because of that, how about we do that? You can use this, and it is commonly used for commands and suggestions because, again, it's just saying your thoughts. Like, oh man, the weather's so nice today. You want to go get something to eat? Because I think the weather's so nice today. Let's get something to eat. It's fine because you're just giving your opinion. But you cannot say the weather being so nice today causes go eat something with me. Like, it doesn't match giving a command with expressing the cause and an effect. Like, weather being nice doesn't cause shall we go? It doesn't make any sense, right? It can cause I did something. The weather was so nice that I went on a picnic. The weather being nice caused me to go on a picnic. Sure, but you can't give a command or a suggestion with that. But with this one, you can because you're saying your opinion. The weather is so nice today, I think, so let's go out to eat something. The reason I'm saying let's go is because the weather's so nice, I think. So it's your thoughts, it's your opinion. Again, if you need to say a command or a suggestion, you cannot use the whole form. You have to use this form. I mean, you could say other things. You don't have to necessarily. If you wanted to say because, you have to use this form. Okay, I'm going to give you two options here, A and B. So 조금만, only a little bit. 시키다 is to order. 시킬게요. I'm just going to order a little bit because it's expensive. Let's look at both of these. 비싸서 조금만 시킬게요. Being expensive is making me only buy a little bit. It's expensive, so I'm only going to buy a little bit. Actually, let's look at a better example. Oh, before I give you this one, let me give you a simpler one. Run out of space. Okay, up here is the finished part of the sentence. 배가 아파요. Stomach's my father. Okay, 배가 아파요. My stomach hurts. Why? 너무 많이 먹어서. Because I ate so much. So eating too much. Let's look at 먹어서. Eating too much caused my stomach to hurt. Good. 너무 많이 먹었으니까 배가 아파요. Because I ate too much, my stomach hurts. I'm going to tell you up front, both of these sentences are grammatically correct and perfect, but I want you to think about which one you might use in what situation. But I'm letting you know, this is not a trick question. Both of these are okay. And I wanted to show you before, but I want you to see an example of a sentence where you can use either one, where the nuance is different. And technically they both mean because, but they have different meanings. So think about it on your own for a minute while I check the chat, and then I'll explain it. Bits. Nice. Let me see if I missed any other. Oh, Kat says PayPal. Hold on. I was scrolling up to read the notices, and I saw Kat wrote something. I'm sulking because you're picking the bad date for a meeting in Seoul, but you explain things so well. I'm sorry, Kat. Kat's complaining I'm not doing the fan meetup on June 6th. And that's why I did the poll, because some people had told me they wanted me to do it on June 6th. A few people messaged me, and I'm like, I mean, I'm fine with either, but let's see what my Patreon members want. And most people picked the 30th. So, hey, Kat. Thank you, Kat, for $10. Right? It was $10, right? I don't want to write it down wrong. Yes. And again, anyone who donates today, your name is going to be stuck on this board all the way until I come back from Korea and do another live stream in mid-August. Okay, that's my birthday. Nice. Yeah, the live stream will be, I'm sorry, not live stream. The fan meeting will be on May 30th this month, which is next Saturday, right? No. Is that next Saturday? Yeah, it is next Saturday, because this coming Saturday, yeah, next Saturday will be the fan meetup. Wow, that's really close. Anyway, so both of these sentences are correct. Both of these sentences are natural. Both of these sentences sound like a native could say them, but both of them have different nuances. So the first one, 너무 많이 먹어서. So eating too much caused me to 배가 아파요, have a hurt stomach. So my stomach hurts because I ate too much. Like the cause of my hurt stomach, the cause of my upset stomach is eating too much. Perfect. Perfect sentence. 너무 많이 먹었으니까 배가 아파요. Remember, now we're talking about the reason for something. The reason, I think, this is my opinion, it might or might not be true, but I think the reason that my stomach hurts is because I ate too much, is the nuance you have. Although it doesn't really mean I think. You're not actually expressing my thoughts. But the reason is your opinion. So that's why I'm translating it into I think, to kind of help you understand that. So I think the reason my stomach hurts is because I ate too much. Perfect sentence. Again, different nuance. Normally, when you're saying your stomach hurts from eating too much, are you trying to say that you think that's the reason, or are you saying that's the reason? Most of the time, there's not really a right answer, but I think more correct, more better is you're saying it is. Like, I mean, I'm sick because I ate too much. Like, you know, your stomach hurts. Like, oh man, my stomach hurts so bad because I ate too much. Like, eating too much is what hurt my stomach. I mean, you still might be wrong. It's still technically your opinion, but you're not expressing it as your opinion. You're expressing it as this caused this to happen. The reason my stomach hurts is because I ate too much. 너무 많이 먹어서 배가 아파요. But you could also say 너무 많이 먹었으니까 배가 아파요. Like, oh man, my stomach hurts and I think it's because I ate too much. It just has that more nuance of like, it's my opinion. So the reason for my stomach hurting is because I ate too much. So in this case, 먹어서 would be a little bit more common because you're expressing that's the reason why, but you can make either one. And there are a ton of examples, a ton of cases, I should say, where both of these can be used in the same sentence, but they have a different nuance. So that can sometimes cause confusion because you'll see like, oh, well, this sentence used this and this sentence used that. Could I have said this? And the answer is probably yeah. You probably could switch 서 or 으니까 in a lot of sentences and they'd be perfectly fine too. So don't get hung up too much on should I say 서 or should I say 으니까? But if you want to express that it's your opinion why, then use 으니까. And if you want to express that something caused something to happen, then use 서. But don't think of it as like they're both because, I guess. If you just think of it as because, then they're going to be tricky to kind of figure out which one you want to use. Okay, so oh, okay, yeah, that's the other one I wanted to do. So again, this is more of like, it's my opinion that something is because of this. Like the cause, not the cause, but the reason for something is this. So then let's talk about this. You will not use 으니까 to express that the reason for someone's emotions, like the reason that I feel this way, like happy, I feel sad, I feel thankful, I feel sorry, and the reason is because of this. You're not going to use that with 으니까. Again, because 으니까 shows the speaker's opinion. So let's take a look at an example. This sentence is wrong. This sentence is wrong. Do not use this sentence. But let's talk about why. Before we had 늦어서 미안해요. So 늦다 again is to be late. So being late made me feel sorry. Again, being late and being sorry. I'm sorry I'm late. Being late is what made me feel sorry. So being late caused me to feel sorry. I'm sorry because I'm late. 늦으니까 미안해요. Think about that for a second. 으니까 is the speaker's opinion on the reason. It's my opinion that, or just to say, I think. Yeah, I think I'm sorry because I'm late. What? What? You think you're sorry because you're late? Or I think I'm sorry because I think I'm late? Neither of those, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you thinking? Why is this your opinion? You're freaking late. You're an hour late. You think you're late? You think you're late? Like, you think you're sorry? It doesn't match. Any emotion is something that you know about for yourself. Now, I'll go a little bit further. I'll clarify this even more in a second. But any of your emotions you express clearly in Korean. I am cold. You know, 추워. 좀 추운 것 같아. You never say, 좀 추운 것 같아. I think I'm a little cold. Like you're cold or you're not. You tell people I'm cold. You're sorry or you're happy or you're excited or you're sad or you're thankful. You are. You don't think you are. You don't think that's the reason why. You could express, I think the reason why I feel so happy is this. You can say that if you say the actual grammar form, I think, but you're going to be, when you're expressing to someone else your emotions, you're not thinking that's the reason. You're saying, I feel this way and I think it's because of, you're saying, I feel this way and the reason is, what caused this is whatever. So when you're using an emotion, it's almost always, again, I'll give you an exception for that. It's not going to be used with the 으니까 form. You're only going to be using the 설 form with any sort of emotion, like thankful, I'm thankful you did that. I'm sorry I did that. I'm happy that you did that. Or I'm sad or I'm thankful or anything like that is always going to be using the 설 form. Again, with an exception we'll talk about. Because it's like I'm sorry or I'm happy because it's my opinion or it's because I think that I'm late. Like it just sounds awkward. They will understand what you mean. And if you're a Korean learner, they'll be like, oh, I see, they're apologizing for being late. They'll always understand. It's not going to make it sound like, it's not going to make it unintelligible or anything. It just sounds awkward. But now this is why I wanted you to think about this as being someone's opinion, because there actually are cases when you can use this with an emotion. Again, it's not a rule because it's more about the nuance of this form is like you're expressing your opinion. So because of that, you can use this form to say, I think that person's sad because it's my opinion that they're sad because you can use this form. But you wouldn't use it for saying, oh, I'm so happy that you came here to my birthday party. Oh, I'm so sorry that I did that. Oh, I'm so thankful that you did that. You can't use it for that because that would sound awkward, right? To say, oh, it's my opinion that I'm happy because you did that. It doesn't make any sense. But you can when you're talking about someone else. I think they're sad because, I think they're happy because, I think that they're really sorry because. It's okay with other people. Now, it's not common. You might just say, you would probably add in that sentence, like, I think they are sad because what caused them to be sad is this. 것 같아요, I think. You can express it that way, but you could also express it using this form, like, oh, I think they're sad because of this. It's my opinion that they're sad because of this. You can express it like that. So if you're talking about someone else, you can use this 으니까 form with emotions, even though technically I just told you can't, but that's the reason why. Because again, it's like, I think it's my opinion that, and you wouldn't ever say it's my opinion that when you're talking about your own emotions, which you should know if it's that or not when you're talking about your own emotions. Okay. And again, because you're talking about your own opinions, you can use this for commands or suggestions, which you can't use with 설. Okay, before I go on to the last usage of this, which I'm just going to do really briefly, I did want to check the chat one more time. 으니까 is to explain or justify something. Exactly, because you're expressing your opinion. You're expressing your opinion for something. You're expressing your opinion on the reason for something. So that's why it's used for explaining or justifying. But this whole form is also used for explaining. So I think it's better to think about it in those terms instead of just in English terms. I heard unika can sound a bit like you're annoyed or snapped at someone. So if you end a sentence with unika, and there's another grammar form which is in my sentence connectors course, unikan as well. If you end a sentence with unika, it's like, you should know that. And the nuance of that is more like, because I told you so. You should know that. It's because. So that's a different form because that's actually a truncated, it's a cutoff, it's a shortened form of a longer sentence. But that's a grammar form. If you end the sentence with unika, it's more of like repeating yourself, like, oh man, you know, I told you that already. Therefore, stop doing that. Therefore, command, again, is what you're suggesting, but you're not saying the end of the sentence. 내가 이미 말했으니까. You're like, I told, 안 된다니까. So there's a different grammar form for that, which I have taught before. And that's when you end the sentence with the unika form. It's not because, literally it is, but it's, 내가 이미 말했다니까? 아니라니까? Like, I already told you no. 아니라니까 그만 물어봐 is what you're implying. Stop asking. Again, command. Because I think I already told you that, right? It's my opinion. I should have already told you that. So stop it. But that form cuts off the so stop it part. And it just leaves you with that part, which is implying, therefore, listen to what I already told you and don't ask. But that's, again, that's a different grammar form. Same literal meaning though, but it's a shortened version of that sort of full structure. Okay, so there's one more way that this is also used. That's if the speaker realizes something. So if you, the speaker, if you realize something, you can use unika after what you did that made you realize something. What that means is that you do something and then I realized is what it means. And while this form can be used by itself, like 집에 가니까, literally I went home because I went home, the reason I went, but this isn't used in that way. It's actually used in a separate way to say you realized something. But most of the time it's not used by itself. You can also use it by itself in everyday speech, but most of the time this gets combined with other forms. I gave you a few of those, like 고 나니까, 고 보니까, 다 보니까, 다가 보니까, 해 보니까, like or conjugated verb 보니까. That's how you'll see it used most of the time, in which case it has the same meaning, but it's usually put into other grammar forms. It's not used by itself that much. So I'll give you just a couple examples of this. But again, it's like saying, and then I realized. So if you see unika and it doesn't seem to mean like because, it's this form. It means you realized something. So in this case, 보니까 is just the form, but it's used after 하다. So 생각하다 is to think. 생각해 보다 is to try and think about something, to give it a thought, basically. So I gave it a thought, and then I realized, what did you realize? 그게, like that, or 그것이 맞네요. So I thought about it and realized that's right. So after thinking about it, I realized it's right. 생각해 보니까 그게 맞네요. So if you see 니까 or 으니까 after any sort of verb stem, it's this usage. Especially if you see it after 보다, because it's often used with 하다. The reason is you're often expressing that you realize something after you try to do something. So I tried thinking about it. I tried going there. 가다, 가 보다. You know, 먹어 보다, 해 보다. Anything like that. So it is the same form, it's just attached after 보다 here, but it's used most often with other grammar forms to add more, to describe what exactly you were doing. Like I tried doing it, or after I had tried doing it, So you'll see it used most often like this, but it can also be used after just a regular verb without any other grammar forms. But yeah, here, 생각해보니까. So I thought about it, and then after thinking about it, I realized 그게 맞네요. That's right. So after thinking about it, I realized it's right. I'll give you just one more sentence. Again, this form is also covered in detail with more examples, although the same lesson, but more examples in my sentence connectors course. I also did a live stream about Hey 보니까 that you can find on my channel. And again, 으니까 or 으니, same thing, but the 으니 sounds a little bit more fancy. It's used in speech or in writing, but the 으니까 is more common for regular everyday speech. Okay. 이 침대, this bed, 에 눕다, to lie down on this bed. So 침대에 누워 보니. So after I tried lying down on this bed, I realized why 인기가 있다, to be popular. 있는지, the 지 is an unknown piece of knowledge, so some sort of unknown information. So I 알겠어요. I understand, I know now why it's popular. So after lying down in this bed, I get why it's popular. 이 침대에 누워보니 왜 인기가 있는지 알겠어요. So you can use 인기가 있다 to be popular. 인기가 많다 is also used to mean very popular. Same thing. 이 침대에 누워보니 왜 인기가 있는지 알겠어요. So after lying in this bed, I can see now why it's popular. Again, after doing something, in this case, trying to lie down or lying down and seeing how it is, and then I realized, again, just translate this as, and then I realized, and it'll make sense in all of its uses. This would not make sense as a because. So because I tried lying down in this bed, I mean, I guess you could. Now that I read it, I'm like, you could translate it that way. Although it's not that usage, you could translate it. So the reason that I understand why it's popular is because I tried lying down in this bed. Okay, sure. You can do that. If it works, go ahead. But it's more of it has the nuance of saying I realized something. Now, if anyone is in Korea or will be in Korea, May 30th, which will be next week Saturday, I will be having a meetup in Seoul. So you can meet me. We can say hi. I'll probably film a video there. If you've been to my other meetups, we usually film a video, and I'll sign autographs, I guess. I have some stickers I'm going to be handing out I got some new stickers made, 3 new types of stickers, so you can pick one. I have like a KitKat sticker, a Charsu and Youngi style sticker with mine and KitKat's face, and then I have a you say tomato, I say tomato sticker as well. So you can get those. Also, you can get another pen. I always hand out little pens at my meetups as well. But yeah, hopefully I can see several of you there. Maybe a few of you that I've already seen before, but I'm looking forward to that as well. That'll be next Saturday on the 30th. I will be posting a video about that sometime this week. Probably Thursday or Friday, I'll post a video about the details, like where it's going to happen and all that stuff in an upcoming video. There will be an RSVP link as well. So stay tuned for that. If you'd like to attend, please make sure to fill out the RSVP so I know how many stickers to bring and all that stuff. Okay, so that is the lesson, or I should say that's the review. This wasn't really a full lesson. So now I think I'll just hang out in the chat for a bit. We can answer questions, talk, and then I'll see you guys again in Korea, I guess. I thought today's lesson is in Korea. Well, I will be going to Korea next week. So yeah, if I waited till next Sunday, it might be in Korea. I'll go if I can catch an early train or a bus. That would be cool if you can come. I mean, yeah, it would be cool. I'm not going to have to go that far because I'm already going to be staying in not too far from there. Where am I going to be staying? Yeah, I'll be within an hour, so not a big deal to get anywhere else in Seoul. Except it was funny that one year that I was late for my own fan meeting because there was the largest protest they had ever done in that area before, and all the buses were stopped and everything was stopped. And I remember arriving like late. I don't even know how late I was, like 30 minutes or an hour or something to my own fan meetup, even though I left an hour early that day. And I was like running through Myeongdong trying to get to the subway. Anyway, yeah. Normally though, I should be on time. Does that mean you might do lesson streams while in Korea? No, I can't do lesson streams in Korea because I won't have my board or my markers or this eraser or anything like that. I will do regular streams in Korea, at least once every 3 weeks I'll try to do, but I won't be able to do any lessons. Plus these lessons take a lot of time. Like today's lesson is a review. So because I reuse sentences from my connectors course, and I've already taught this form a lot of times, like I've pretty much mastered teaching these ones, that I didn't need that much time. I think I just spent like an hour and a half putting this together. But normally my lessons take me several hours of like about half of a day to put together. So I won't be able to do that while I'm in Korea because I'm going to be prioritizing my time on filming videos, but I will be doing live streams there. I would enjoy a fan meetup in Southern California, but you're Northern California girl. You're saying you'll come down to Southern California. You'll become Southern California girl for a fan meetup in LA. Is that what you're saying? I could do a fan meetup in LA, but if I did a fan meetup in LA, who would go? Is there anyone in the chat? Let me actually do that. Let's do a, let's see. Can I make a poll? Let me see if I can make a poll real quick. Hold on. Oh, it doesn't let me write that much. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I started a poll. Hopefully I started that correctly. Okay, I made a poll. Would you actually, like, don't click yes if you actually wouldn't. Don't make me feel better. Just click the third option if you want to press something. But I'm curious, if I ever did a meetup in California, how many people would actually go there? Southern California sloth here. We don't have any giga sloths here, though. We do have bears. We have bears here. We don't have any giant sloths. We have regular sloths. Have you seen a drive-through prank where the driver asks, "Do you speak English?" and then orders in perfect Korean? I don't get the joke. I'm thinking of it from a Korean perspective. I think it would come off as like really prideful. I don't think they would think it's funny, but they would probably laugh when they see the camera on them. But yeah, I don't get the joke. I would not be able to do it because I'd feel bad for the Korean person. That's why I don't make a lot of content like that, because there's a lot of content that people would feel uncomfortable with doing. If it fits my budget, okay. Well, I wouldn't charge anything, but yeah, I get what you mean. If not in China, who is in China? I've never been to China in my life. I've been to Hong Kong once, like in 2011, I went to Hong Kong. But then since the whole deal with, after the protesting got shut down and everything, I'm like, I don't want to go there again. But I have never been to China. Santa Barbara. Okay. Santa Barbara. I've been there before. It's nice. Really, really pretty. I would love to meet other Korean learners if you don't mind that I'm not Korean conversational yet. Yeah. The fan meetup I have is like, except for a couple people who might bring their Korean significant others, It's all Korean learners that attend, and of all different levels. I've seen people at the meetup who can't put together sentences yet, and I've seen other people at the meetup who've lived in Korea for like years and years or work in Korea and can talk fully conversationally. So yeah. What day are you going to Korea? Next week, I said. That's why we're going to have the meetup on Saturday, next Saturday. In another time, let's learn Chinese with Go Billy. Yes. Or I think in another universe, it would be let's learn Japanese. Because like I said, if I never got into Korean, I would still be just doing Japanese, I think. Because I was doing Japanese before I met any Korean person at my college. And I really liked it. So maybe I could have done that. But I never got that good. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe I would have gone and lived in Japan and studied there and gotten really good. But I feel like there's already a lot of, that's already like really saturated with a lot of good teachers teaching like everything for Japanese. Whereas I feel like when I got into Korean, no one was learning Korean except for like a few weirdos. I'm joking. But except for a few people, relatively, Korean wasn't really popular. It was just people who were interested in the language itself and people who were somehow able to explore Korean dramas. Like back in 2000, early 2000s, 2010, there weren't really any dramas that were breaking out of Korea except for some that were getting popular in Japan, like Winter Sonata, couple dramas like that, and a couple movies like Old Boy and stuff that were getting out of Korea. But besides that, there wasn't really very much to go out of Korea. There wasn't like the K-pop wasn't quite fully established yet until like 2010, 2009, 2010 with Girls' Generation was like the first thing that I remember kind of breaking out of Korea. But yeah, I mean, I guess you can go back to Rain in like 2004 or something, but yeah, so like there weren't that many people teaching Korean or learning Korean even at that time, but there were tons already of people doing Japanese from way long ago. So I feel like it got really saturated already. Whereas Korean, now there are a lot of people doing it recently, but there weren't up until a few years ago. Do you play Paduk? I have played it before. I don't know how to play it. I do play Tangi though, which is the Korean version of the checkers game. They have it in China and Japan, but they have different rules in all three countries. So I played the Korean version quite a bit when I was living in Korea. And I still have my set, my Tangi set. Today is 17th. Yeah, it'll be 2 Saturdays. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday. 한국이든 미국이든 지금 못 가는데 버튼 누르는 걸 좋아해요. Nice. That's what the third option was for. Okay, let's see how the poll's doing. Okay, let's end this poll. All right. 34. Okay, so wow. 50% of you pushed I like pushing buttons, but about 25% of 30. So what's that? 32, 60, 70. About like 8 people? I can't do math. Hold on. 34 times. I have a calculator for this stuff. 34 times 2. Wait. Oh, that's 0.26. Okay, there we go. Yeah, about 8. All right, I wasn't too far off. I guessed 8. I guess I wasn't. It's like 8 to 9 people. So about 8 of you or so, probably 9 of you more likely, pressed that you actually would come to an LA meetup. Okay, that's more than I thought. That's cool. Maybe I should. Yeah, let's math with Go Billy. Let's not. Math was my really good subject all the way up until college. As soon as I started pre-calculus, I had the worst pre-calculus teacher, one of the worst math teacher, I'll say. It was pre-calculus, but it was the worst math teacher I ever had in my entire life. I had a string of really good math teachers my whole life, and then I got into pre-calculus, and it was the worst teacher ever. I almost failed the class. I felt like I would finally learn the concept a week after they were already moving on to the next topic. I was really struggling with it. I didn't like it, and I realized from that class, it made me feel like, oh, I guess I'm bad at math. And I lost all my motivation from my entire life from that one class. I kid you not. It was so bad that I couldn't graduate because of that one class, that grade. I think it was a D. Yeah, basically it's failing, but it was a D. And I talked with the counselor at school, and they graciously moved a class I had previously taken years ago that was extra that I didn't need, that was a math class. They let me substitute that score so that I could still pass. But yeah, that killed all my motivation. After that, haven't been able to do math ever since. It's trauma for me. Are you planning to stream from specific locations? Yes, I have a few places I've already planned, but I'm open to suggestions if there's somewhere you'd like to see. Now, you can't say stream from JYP Entertainment offices. I would get kicked out before I even walk in the door. But if there's some place you'd like to see in Korea, let me know. Maybe I can do a stream from there. As long as the weather's not too bad. Like if there's some shade I can go to, or maybe I can bring like a parasol, right? It said, one bad teacher can ruin so much. Yeah, they really can. They can ruin so much. Did you take this class before or after you were learning Korean? Oh, that was after. Was it after? I think it was after. Yeah. Because I started learning Korean way back in 2005. Visit Hybe. Bokbogi. Yeah. Bokbogi. Visit Hybe. Yeah, I'm not going to be visiting any place I'll get kicked out of. Unless someone has connections with there that wants to contact someone. If there's anyone watching that has connections with any of those studios that would allow me to do a tour or allow me to stream or walk around or do a video, then yeah, I'm totally up for that. That'll be cool. Can you imagine if I like, oh, hey, I'm here at the Hybe Studios. Oh, is that? And I'm like, it's like literally a famous K-pop group. I'm like, oh, hi, how you guys doing? I'm just doing a little live stream. You want to join in? Oh, let's go take a walk. Let's get something to drink. I'll buy you guys. Do you guys like tteokbokki? I know there's a good tteokbokki cart down there at the park. Yeah, sure, let's go. Walking together. That would be a dream. Do it in the Talk to Me in Korean offices. No, they would kick me out immediately. I know I would get kicked out in 1 second. I'd want to see historic locations. Okay. What's your favorite hanja? I have a favorite hanja, but I can't write it. It's the, can I write it? I haven't written this one in a long time, so I can't remember if I'm doing it correctly. Hold on. I apologize if I'm messing this one up. Something like that. I have to check. It's not the one you think it is. It's not dragon. Oh, okay. I wasn't too bad. I wasn't too off. Oh yeah, it's that and then that. Okay. All right. So that's not the character. That messed that up. That's the character. This is the one character. And the name of the character well, actually it's not the Sangyong because it's the 4. The twin dragon. Anyway, it's the 4 dragons character. It's 4 dragons in one. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite characters. It's one character, but it has 4 characters for dragon. Yong 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 Yong. Why is that my favorite? Because it's the only one that's complicated, that like really complicated, that I can still write. There is a more complicated character though in Chinese, but it's not in Korean. There is like a really conjugated one, like really complicated one that's like 36 character strokes or something like that. But you like sun. I like that one too. It does kind of look like an umbrella, right? Like with water droplets going around it, and you got the handle. Kind of looks like that. I think Gyeongbokgung Gyeongbokgung doesn't allow any sort of streaming or filming in there. Now, you can pull out your phone while you're in there and take photos and stuff, but if they saw you just walking around filming, I think they'd probably ask you to leave. I remember because I've filmed vlogs in there before, but I'm never like filming just like it's never just that I'm filming the whole time or anything. And it's only been like I filmed a vlog in there with my kid and we walked around after wearing hanbok and everything. But I think if you were just walk in and talk to your phone and stuff the whole time, I think they'd probably ask you to leave. I'm not sure if all the palaces would do that, but I know that Gyeongbokgung specifically doesn't want people doing regular filming there. I had tried to do a video once before where I had a microphone and I had my camera and I was walking in and the security guy came out. He's like, "Hey, sorry, you can't, what are you doing? You can't do interviews here. You can't film in here. Like you can film yourself, but you can't like film." So my favorite hanja is ki. Okay, that's a good one. Because it can be used with English words. 프린트기, 믹서기, 헬기. Okay. Try wearing hanbok. I already have worn hanbok before, several times. 3 times, actually, at least. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. No, more than 3. At least 4 or 5 times I've worn hanbok. Han River would be nice. Yeah, I have. Have I done a live stream at the Han River before? I think I have. I think I've done a live stream before where I was walking around the Han River. Although there are different parts of the Han River. I remember I definitely did one on the island. There's like a little island off the Han River, which is really pretty. Lots of people go there for photography. I've done one there before, or a couple there before. And then I would have done one around the Han River area too, but there are different areas of the Han River I probably haven't gone to. The top of Lotte Tower. Okay. Have you ever walked on the frozen Han River with your cat? That's a very specific question. I actually have. Every day I'm in Korea, I walk on the frozen Han River with my cat. It's something I've done so much that I feel like it would be a bore to show you all, so I'll spare you that. Do you have any suggestions how to get past that paralyzing block of speaking Korean? I've thoroughly studied and talked to myself, but then I forget everything and overthink grammar. Yes. So I've talked about this before a few times. I made a video on my channel about it before, but I am someone also who has, or I should say had, noticeable speaking anxiety. It's much better nowadays. I don't say that I have speaking anxiety too much because I can deal with it now. But I've had a lot of speaking anxiety, so much that I couldn't look at another person in their eyes if I'm talking with them. I couldn't even look at my camera. So I talked about this in a video I made about speaking anxiety if you want to watch on my channel. But yeah, what I think helped me, besides just, doing it more, do more practice, you'll get better, was focusing more on the first thing that I want to say and not trying to break apart the conversation in advance. I feel like if you try to predict what you're going to say and what they're going to say and what they're going to say, then you won't even try because it's too much. And then what if you practice what you're going to say and you're like, oh, and then they're going to say this, and then I'm going to reply this. It never goes that way. It never goes the way you plan. You might think that if you ask, 안녕하세요. 저 혹시 something 어디 있는지 아세요? Like, do you know where the whatever is? You think that if you ask that, they're going to tell you, and then you're going to say, 감사합니다, and then you're going to leave. That's not what's going to happen. You're going to say, excuse me, 혹시 아세요? And they're going to say, 네? And you're going to be, I didn't prepare for that. Like, I have to repeat myself. Or they're going to say, no, 저 사실, I'm actually, I'm not Korean. I'm actually Chinese, or I'm actually Japanese, or, I actually don't live in this area, or, why do you want to go there? Like, there are a bunch of ways that you can't prepare for, and expecting to be able to get one sentence past the conversation is going to only give you more anxiety when it doesn't go your way. It's going to make you like then actually freeze up. I think a much better way to prepare is not to think about the conversation at all. Only think about that one thing you're going to say first. And this is what I do as well. When I'm starting a conversation, although of course I can say this because I can have a full conversation now, but I only think about that first thing I want to say. And I still do have some anxiety when I go up to people for the first time, but I only think about the very first thing that I want to tell them. The only thing that I can control is what I say to someone in the beginning. Now, of course they can interrupt me and I can still work around that because I've done enough speaking at this point. But I only think about what's the one thing I need to say to them. And I'll practice that entire sentence I want to say. Like if I'm asking for directions, I'm not practicing, 실례합니다, excuse me. I'm not practicing that. I'll practice the entire thing I want to say that I know I can say at the beginning, that I have control over. So if I know, like if I'm filming my interview videos, I practice the expression I'm going to say, the whole expression when I stop someone to ask them, 저 실례한데요. 혹시 저 지금 한국에 관련한 인터뷰를 촬영 중인 유튜버인데요. 혹시 시간 조금 있으세요? Is something I might practice. Like, excuse me, I'm a YouTuber. I'm making a video related to Korea. Do you have a little bit of time? That one sentence, I think that's what I say. I'll practice it again when I do the next interview session. But that's one thing I know I can get out of my mouth that I can 100% control. Whatever their reply is, then I'm going to answer it naturally as I can. And it might be like, pretend I didn't speak Korean, but I said that phrase, 저 지금 한국어에 관련한 인터뷰 촬영 중인 유튜버인데요. 혹시 시간 조금 있으세요? And then they reply with something I wasn't expecting. It doesn't matter because I got my sentence out. I started the conversation and I had the expectation I've already made now is we're speaking in Korean because I started out with a sentence in Korean. So don't think about whatever is going to come next. Just think about that one thing you want to say. And it can be shorter than that. It can be, oh, excuse me, I'm lost. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you know where this is? Oh man, the weather's really hot, huh? Like you can make comments about the weather, although Koreans don't do small talk really. Some topics can be okay. If you're like in a line waiting for something, you can make a comment about that thing you're waiting for. If you're both somewhere in the same area and it's like really hot, you probably could make a quick comment about the weather. Something that you know they're going to agree with you about is okay usually. And I'm actually making a video about how to do small talk with Korean people, which I'll probably do in Korea. But yeah, that one thing you want to say, just practice that one thing you want to say and have it in your head ready to go. Don't worry about anything else. And the moment you get that one thing out, you have done what most people learning Korean will never do. And that is actually practicing. And that's how you get good at the language, is by using what you know. They tell you something you might not understand. You say, oh maybe you didn't get it. 다시, you don't know what to say. You're like, 다시 말해 주시겠어요? You're trying to remember. But that's how you do it. And you do it lots of times. And then you get used to all of the possibilities that you can hear. You'll get completely fluent at those common possibilities. And then you'd go out into another situation. Now you can try other things and learn new possibilities. But that's how it starts. So I've said this before a lot of times, but in Korean, they have the expression 시작이 반이다. Literally, 시작 is the start, 반 is half. So they say starting is half. I think starting in Korean is like 90% of the work. When you just start your conversation, you've done most of the work. Beyond that, just let it happen. If you start a conversation strong with your one thing, and then you don't understand anything they said, you did great. You did exactly what I did and what other people learning Korean did. That's what you're supposed to do. If you can go further than that, like, dang, that's just the cherry on top. But if you start, that is the hardest part, is just that first sentence. So yeah, that's my advice to you. Just focus on that. There's a museum I'd like to go to. Cheongju Early Printing Museum. That's very specific. What do they have there? That's why it's important to talk to yourself a lot to prepare for any scenario. Sure, you can try talking to yourself, but it's not going to hurt, but you're not going to be able to prepare for what they're going to say to you. You can never know what they're going to say. And I'll have situations where, like, I'm sure they're going to answer this. Like, I'm sure they're going to say, for example, when I ask my question if they have a time to do an interview with me, like, I'm 99% sure they're just going to say, 아니요, 저 어디 가야 돼요. Like I have to go somewhere, or oh, I'm busy, I'm late, or something like that. Whatever excuse, it's fine. I never pressure them on that. It's whatever they want to say, yes or no. But I never expect what they're going to say. It's possible they can say, oh, I've seen you before. Aren't you Billy on YouTube? I've had that sometimes. It's random, but sometimes Koreans will go up to me. They're like, oh, I think I've seen you here before. Or they'll be like, oh, sorry, I'm actually not, I don't speak Korean. Like someone might look Korean the way they're dressed. Like maybe they went shopping in Myeongdong before they came here. And then they look exactly like a Korean. They have their head down, they're listening to music. So I think, oh, they're Korean. But then when I see them talk to me, I'm like, I can tell, they're not Korean. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, where are you from? So you never know where the conversation's going to go. So I try not to think about that too much. And then the ones that want to speak with you they'll give you conversation practice. So you get free conversation practice that way too. And the ones that don't want to talk, well, so what? You got your practice in, you still practiced your sentence, you did good. I have a problem of not being able to differentiate similarly sounding words. Dioa. Dioa. Yeah, that's because that will come with more contextual listening practice. You'll sometimes mishear, like I do that in English sometimes too. Like, don't you sometimes mishear something said, like, oh, I thought you said this in your own native language? It's worse, obviously, in a foreign language, but that's not a big deal. And you can also clarify that in Korean. You can say, oh, I thought you said, 뛰어와 라고 한 줄 알았거든요. Like, I actually thought you said 뛰어와, like that. And then there's your practice. And then they can laugh. Ha ha ha. I get that. No, I said this. I say, it sounded similar to me. And there's your conversation practice. Like, you still maintain your fluency and have a conversation even when you make mistakes and don't understand something. You don't have to break, like, you don't lose at the conversation just because you made a mistake. That's your opportunity to speak around it. Like, if you can't think of a word, that doesn't mean, I guess this is the limit of my ability. No, you talk around it. Like, you can't remember the word for a nail. You're like, oh, well, then you can say, 망치를 사용할 때 때리는 그거 있잖아요. I'm speaking a little slower. 망치를 쓸 때 때리는 그 쇠로 된 이렇게 생긴 거 있잖아요. And then they'll like, 못이라고요? 못. That's called a nail. Like, you can talk around it and you don't have to break your fluency if you're able to talk around it. Even if you don't know that word, you can just say, 집을 지을 때, when you build a house, 집을 지을 때 이렇게 하고 이게 뭐예요? Like, you can kind of make it up in simpler terms. Or like, 이렇게 할 때 이걸 뭐라고 해요? You don't even need any vocabulary. Like, 이렇게 할 때 이건 뭐예요? Like, when you do this, what's this? You can talk around it and you don't lose your fluency as long as you're confident and you're kind of maintaining, like you're keeping your eye contact, you're keeping the conversation going. It doesn't sound like you failed. It sounds like you just had a brain fart, which you can do in your own native language too. And Koreans will do that too. They'll say wrong words all the time. Or they'll just like be like, 저기 뭐야, 저, like that. And they'll think for like 30 seconds. It's the same thing. As long as you keep the conversation going, no one has to know you didn't know the word for nail or hammer or whatever. I'm a print nerd. The world's oldest surviving book printed with movable metal type. That is cool. Jikji. Okay. I've heard about Jikji before. I've never seen it though. I have seen recreation of it, I believe. They have it at a museum I went to. They had a recreation of that, the early metal type. I don't know if it was a recreation of that specific one, but they had similar old metal type stuff. The book's in France currently. Okay. Don't confuse Tokyo with Tagia. Yeah, some people do that. Tagia. the waitress will be like, "Oh, what? Sorry, we're full. Restaurant's busy." But let's say you're calling out to a stranger. 자기야, 죄송해요. 저기요라고 하려다가 자기야가 나와버렸네. 어떡하지? 죄송합니다. 저기요 혹시, like, you can save it And then now you have a point of conversation with, oh, obviously you have to be able to speak Korean to do that, but you can save it and now you have something to talk about with the other person. Like a mistake doesn't have to ruin the whole conversation. Just be honest about it. 자기야, 죄송해요. Even if you don't know that much Korean. 죄송해요. 저기요, 하고 싶었어요. 저기요라고 하고 싶었어요. I wanted to say 저기요. And then they can be like, ha 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 ha. Oh, your Korean's good. And you messed up, but you've saved it. And now it doesn't look like you didn't know the word. It looks like you just had a brain fart, but you speak Korean. And they're going to be, in their eyes, they heard you say, hey, baby. Oh, I am sorry. I wanted to say, excuse me. It sounds similar. And now it sounds like, wow, this person's totally fluent in Korean. They're not even going to think about the fact that you made a mistake. They're going to think, oh, that's funny, but your Korean's fluent. Where did you learn Korean? So yeah, you can save a lot of Korean mistakes. And I've done that too. I've said this story before. I don't know when this was. This was probably, I don't remember, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I made this mistake. Like, I make mistakes too from time to time. This was an embarrassing one. The word for a script is 대본. 대본 means like a script or an outline for filming. And the word for number 2 is 대변. Literally, 대 is big. 변 is like a bowel movement. So 대변 is number 2. And I had told this person, I was meeting up with someone else for a business proposition, and they were asking if I would make a video for something. I didn't end up making the video, but I remember meeting with them and talking about it. And I was telling them, I don't remember if I was talking about my video or their video, but anyway, the sentence that I said was something like, should have been, 대본은 이미 미리 준비해놨거든요. Like, the script I've already prepared in advance. Like, don't worry about the script. I've already got that all prepared in advance. What is what I was saying. However, what I did not say was 대본. What I did say is 대변은 이미 다 준비해놨거든요. Like, I've already prepared all of the number 2 in advance, is what I said. But before their brain registered that, I'm like, I corrected. I'm like, 대본요. 잘못 말했어요. Like, I made a mistake. I meant 대본. Then, if you correct it that soon, it's like, but I get it. Like, they'll hear, oh, I see, they just said the wrong word because it's similar. They're not going to think, oh, he thought the word was number 2. It's just like a slip of the tongue. 실언. Like, no one's going to think you didn't know the word. Everyone's just going to think you had a brain fart. So even if you make a really embarrassing mistake like that, it doesn't have to ruin your Korean. They're not going to be like, haha, your Korean's bad. In the other way, they're going to think, oh, you're good. You can keep talking. Like, it sounds like you're just anyone who made a mistake when you're speaking. So instead of this extremely embarrassing mistake, although it was embarrassing at the time, I doubt they would even remember that I said that because I saved it right after saying it. But yeah, I have the number 2. It's all ready. It's fresh, totally ready to go for you. Just let me know when you need it anytime. I'll drop it right on your desk. Pretty much is what I said, but recovered. So it's okay. I once said 살아있어요. Yes, I'm alive in Seoul. I only am live when, yeah, that's funny. Also, it's funny because 살아있다 is also used as a slang expression. I'm not saying this to you. You probably already know that. But 살아있다 literally means something is alive, but it's also a slang expression that I believe was popularized by the movie. Oh, I can't remember the Korean movie. It was like 범죄자, 전쟁. Anyway, it was like something like that. Some famous movie where the character is describing some food as being, oh man, this is alive, and eating something. But anyway, yeah, 살아있다 is used to say like, man, this is good. It's good stuff. Like, this is where it's at, kind of. So it kind of sounded funny if you said 살아있어요. 예, 전 서울에 살아있어요. I'm alive in Seoul. So that would have been kind of funny. But then you can recover from that. 살고 있다고요. 살고 있어요. 뭐 살아있긴 하지만 I am alive. 근데 살고는 있어요. I am living there. Like, you can kind of recover from it by making a joke or commenting on what you just said and correcting yourself, and no one's going to think of it as they're not going to think of it as a reflection of your Korean. They're going to think of it as just a slip of the tongue, like you could do in your own native language. 대변 also means speaking for someone else. Sure, you can like 상대, like that 대 for someone else. But that's not how it would mean if you say I already prepared my 대변. That would mean the other 대변. 별똥별 is a shooting star. Yeah, literally, but I wrote, and now it's our favorite joke. Yeah, 별똥별 is a shooting star. That's right. Don't be so self-deprecating. Yes, very close word. Don't be so yes, defecating, I guess is what you mean. Alive. 살아있다. 2020. No, it was from before 2020. This movie was from like 2005 or something? Let me check. 2012. 범죄와의 전쟁. 범죄와의 전쟁. The Korean movie is The Nameless Gangster, Rules of the Time, from 2012. Was the expression, 살아있네, 살아있네, like was what they say. Anyway, I can't do it perfectly. I haven't seen the movie before. I've only seen that clip. 살아있네. No, they say 살아있네 is what he says. That's the intonation because he's supposed to be like Busan style. 살아있네. 저기요 is like some kind of hey you. Yeah, it's kind of like that. It's not quite as rude as saying hey you, but it's like, oh hey, over there. Kind of like that. It's not the most polite way to get someone's attention, but it's okay. You can start a sentence by saying 저기 혹시, which is a pretty good way to get anyone's attention. 저기 means over there. 혹시, and then you ask your question. 저기 혹시. As long as they're within a short radius from you, like they could easily hear you, they'll turn around. 저기 혹시 실례하지만 저기 혹시 something 뭐 아세요? Do you know? Like that. I couldn't remember the word for aunt, so I just kept saying my mother's sister. Yeah, well, that's fine. If you ask Koreans, what do you call this family member? They're going to think about it for a bit too, because that stuff's not intuitive either. There are a lot of words that are intuitive, like, oh, this sister to this is, they're probably going to get it. Like you can be your 고모 if they are your father's sister, and your 이모 for your mother. Like it depends on which side you're talking about and what the gender is that you're talking about. But yeah, it can be a bit confusing for some of the different terms. Like what do I call my younger brother's wife? Or what do I call my older brother's child? Like kind of like different terminology like that. Although that's actually easier. You just do 조카 for that. But yeah. Some of them can be a little more complicated, and Koreans might have to think about those for a second too. But if you always don't know, you can just fall back on like 우리 어머니의 여동생. You can just say like that, and they'll be like, oh, okay, my mother's younger sister. You don't have to necessarily think of the word at that moment. Like, oh, like you don't have to know the older sister or whatever, like 큰이모 or whatever. You can just refer to her as mother's, older sister or mother's sister, or however you want to refer to her. And then they'll tell you if they prefer that. They'll be like, oh yeah, you should call her, 애가 큰이모라고 하지, or something like that, or whatever they're gonna say. 막내, the youngest, or they'll tell you the terminology if you need it. I learned Hangul with your videos like 8 years ago. Now I've lived in Korea for 4 years. Wow, awesome. What do you think about it? You've been in there 4 years. You obviously kind of like it, or else you wouldn't stay that long. That's cool. Yeah, 처형, 처남, 동서. Yeah, there are a lot of those that Koreans will know and use, but I don't personally use them very much. I just refer to, as soon as it goes out of the immediate family and their relatives, like their direct relatives, then at that point I'm like, I'll just call them what they are, like grandfathers, younger sisters, son, like that. I'll just go like that because it's easier to remember. But yeah, they do have terms for literally everything. I'll just answer like 2 more questions and then we'll stop for today at 4:30 in 5 minutes from now. Okay, any other questions? Oh, I got another member on my Patreon. Cool. Also, before I go, I did want to say another thanks to Kai, Claire Willison, Lexica, and Kat. Your names are going to be up here all the way until August, the middle of August, when I do my next live class here. Stream's going for nearly 3 hours. You got a problem with that? You got a problem with that, Noah? Huh? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. I'm an adult. I do what I want. I love it. Learning Korean changed my life. I appreciate your help. From Arkansas. Nice. Oh, man. Dang. Yeah, that's going to be a big culture shock. Going from Arkansas all the way to Korea. Must have been a huge culture shock when you got there. Although I'm sure now, 4 years in, you're probably pretty well adjusted to how things are over there. I mean, I'm from LA and there was a lot of adjustment for me, but let's get it to over 3 hours. Well, then we got to go for another 5 minutes. Now is your last chance to engrave your name on the whiteboard until August. That's true. This is your last chance to have your name on the board. It'll stay all the way. It'll stay up here until mid-August. It's your last chance to get it on the board. If you were to announce an LA meetup, what's the best way to be notified? So I would, the meetup is not in the RSS feed because I haven't made an announcement though on my website about it. You might see that might be the announcement for last year's if you search meetup. Probably that was the last year announcement for 2025, but I haven't made a post about the new the new meetup yet, but you will see a video about it sometime later this week. I have a video to post before that on Wednesday or Thursday, but you'll see an announcement post after that, probably Thursday. The best way to keep up with stuff is just to push the notification bell on my YouTube channel. You can join my Patreon page. I made a post about this on Patreon about a week ago where I asked people what day would you prefer. And yeah, those would be the best ways. Just make sure to click the bell icon on YouTube and follow my Patreon page. You can even follow the free Patreon page. It won't give you access to all the stuff that the paid members get, but you would get notified about posts, and I would post about meetups on Patreon before I actually do them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, LA meetup could be fun. The issue with the LA meetup is where would I do it? Like, do I do it at like the, what's that part? Why am I having would I do it at Echo Park where we're like stepping over needles to like say hi to each other? That's the thing. It's like, where do I do a fan meetup in LA? Is there a good spot? Do you have a suggestion for a spot that's not like completely in the sun? Or maybe, I mean, it could be in the sun if the weather's really nice, if it's not during the summertime, like November won't be too bad. Would there be any spot to do a meetup in LA? Like in Korea, there are a lot of pretty parks we can do. I usually do the Han River because it's easy to get to. It's right outside the subway and there's a lot of space. So even if they're doing a super loud concert, we can still walk a little bit farther and get away from the noise. Quick question. Ta is both casual and written? That's how Koreans I asked explained to me. So Lola, that's what's called the plain form. If you're using it in speech by itself at the end of a sentence, then it's casual. But it has a lot of uses besides that. I've done lessons on this. I recommend searching my channel because I could do a full lesson about it, but it'll really take like an hour. To answer your question as simply as possible, besides going on my channel and watching a live stream about plain form, is that if you're using it in speech, it is only casual. If you're using it in writing, it is for essays or anything where it doesn't have a specific audience. Like you're not writing a letter to someone, you're writing an essay. So if you're doing a test essay, it's always plain form. If you're writing a journal, it's always plain form. If you're writing an advertisement, it could be plain form as well because it's not directed at anyone in particular. It's plain, but it's not correct to say that it's casual. It's not casual or formal or anything. It's plain. But if you use it in speech at the end of a sentence by itself, then that would be considered casual. Yes. But the nuance it has when it's used in speech is like you're saying it through a megaphone. So anyone within the vicinity, it's directed at anyone in the vicinity because again, it's not directed at anyone in particular. It's just You're just throwing it out there into the universe. Hey, 나 지금 간다. I'm going now. Just letting everyone know. It has that feeling of you're announcing something just into whoever can hear you, not addressed at anyone in particular. But if you do it at someone directly, 나 간다, it's only casual usage. 처형 is wife's sister. 처남, yep, because the 처 part is for the wife. It's the 한자 for wife. 형 is then originally was a sibling. 형 was the word for any sort of older sibling, but now it's used specifically for males. And then 처남 would be the wife's brother. Yeah. 동서 is husband's wife. I've never used that term before, but yeah. Great Park in Irvine. Irvine, I could, if the traffic's, sometimes it can be a bit take a long time to drive down to Irvine, depending on how the traffic is. With no traffic, though, it's pretty quick, right? Irvine to anywhere in LA is pretty fast. But with traffic, it's like 3 hours, depending on the time of day. Yeah, I feel like there probably would be more nice parks in Irvine or even in Torrance. But LA is like, we have parks in name, but not really parks where I would say you'd want to stop and hang out with other people, really. So, yeah. You and Miss Vicky helped me start my language journey. Nice. Fig on Figueroa for meetup. Yeah, I don't think anywhere near Figueroa would be a good idea for literally anything. You can't have a meetup there, let alone park there. Am I going to ask everyone to take the Metrolink to come to the meetup? Transfer Union Station, grab an Uber all the way over to Figueroa. Now I sound like the Californian skit on SNL. Just go straight down to Figueroa Street, make a left, and take the 405 all the way up where you belong. What about Lotte Tower? You can't really film, though, in a lot of those places. Thank you. It's very different to other languages. Normally, something written is also more formal. Yeah, it just has different uses depending on whether it's speaking or writing, but yeah. Would be cool if you streamed from some uncommon residential neighborhood and explored slowly. Showed apartment blocks, playgrounds, tiny neighborhood shops, everyday atmosphere away from tourist areas. Okay. I see what you're saying. Arirang is a palindrome. I guess that's true. Technically, no, it would be because it's going ALNG. So it's not Arirang, but I kind of get what you're saying. It's close. Arira would be a palindrome, but not Arirang. But close, but it's not supposed to be a palindrome anyway. It's just supposed to be something that sounds melodic to sing. Arirang, like kind of like la di da sort of thing. 안녕하세요, 선생님. Welcome. Okay, I'll just take one more question, and we'll stop for today. Again, the fan meetup is going to be May 30th, so that's not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday in Seoul, and I will make a post about that and a video about that later this week. Yeah, if you break it up like that, sure. However, that's not the way that the order is put together because it's Lang is LANG, but if you put it backward, it's NGAL, not LANG again backward. So if you look at it as a full syllable, but that's not a palindrome technically. Yeah, Korean though does have palindromes. I believe it's called Haejunmal. Let me check. Haejunol. Let me check. I think it's Haejunol. Let me check the word. I know I don't use this word, so. Haemun. Sorry, Haemun, not Haejun. Haejeon would be Haejeon Chobap, like the rotating. Well, I'll tell you that one while we have it. Haejeon Chobap is the revolving sushi. Like they have some restaurants like that. The word you actually want is not Haejeon Chobap. The word you want for palindrome is Hae, which is again revolving, which is why I got it confused, and then Mun, which would be a sentence. So a spinning or revolving sentence, literally. Hae Mun. But I don't think this is a regular word. Hae Mun? Palindrome, 무슨 뜻인가요? Like race car, stuff like that. There are others. I can't think of them, but any word that's the same forward and backward in English or in Korean. But yeah. There's also Haejeon Mongma. Haejeon is revolving again. Mok is wooden and Ma is horse. That's how you call a carousel. They call it revolving wooden horses. Haejeon Mongma. Hemcheomyeot. That is a meme word. I've seen someone only use it as a joke, but it's how many hamburgers can you eat, basically. But it's not a common thing. It's like a slang. The drama Woo features a lot of those. Does it? I haven't seen the drama, but I know that's a pretty popular drama, like The Famous Attorney. Anyway, that's enough for today. Thank you everyone for coming. Again, this was the last live stream. It was actually not even supposed to be a live stream today, but this is really the last live stream before I go to Korea. Next week, I will be in Korea. Next Saturday, hopefully I can see some of you at the Seoul meetup. I'm going to be bringing I'll bring my pens like I always do, but I also have some new stickers. You can get one of my 3 brand new stickers. I don't know. You can get it if you want. You don't have to. We can hang out, take photos. I'll sign your forehead if you want. I'll bring my permanent marker so I can sign your forehead and hang out. I'll film a video there. Yeah, it'd be cool to see some of you there. So I'll send out the RSVP for that sometime later this week along with the video. Thanks for coming today, and I will see you again next time when I'm in Korea. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.